seems like it's another episode of the Locacacast. It seems like it. It seems like it's about that time. I'm looking at my watch, and there's a little Locacaca on it, and both hands are pointing at little Locacaca fruits. So I guess it's Locacacast time.
But not just any episode, Zach.
Not
Today
just
is
any
a very
episode.
special episode.
On this episode, we're doing something I've wanted to do for a long goddamn time. I've always been like, we should have a guest on the show. We should have a third person. Sure, you and me, Chris, it's all this fun. We should share it with others. We are the best JoJolion JoJoLands review podcast in the world, and we need to spread the good word. We need to get more people on board. So we've brought somebody on board. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend and yours from Twitter.com, Casey motherfucking Aces.
Hey, that's me. That's what they got. Yeah. We insert like the studio applause. Like,
Yeah.
Like Full House. Like, woo! Like
Oh,
Uncle
sorry,
Jesse
we don't
walks in the
have
room.
that big of a budget.
No, okay, that's fine. I was gonna ask you if you guys edit this thing, but nah.
We edit it very, very lightly. That's not too much to ask, though. That would be a funny joke. We should type in some applause.
Sometimes I'll put a fun thing in. I'll put an applause in for you, Casey.
Yeah.
Anything.
For me,
you?
anything. Yeah, I do like the.
Hey.
Yeah.
This one
like my
time,
little
I
iconic
accidentally said,
catchphrase.
instead of chess pieces, I was talking about California King Bed, Daya Higashikata's stand. Instead of California King Bed chess pieces, I said California King Bed cheese pieces. And I stuttered and I said cheese pieces, and Chris put another piece of cheese on screen every time I did it. It was great. So he'll occasionally throw me a bone. Chris is our editor. We like to keep it simple, but if there's something really funny, we might do it.
Gotcha. Yeah. No,
Anyways,
that's a good bit.
We usually start this show with the most boring non-JoJo content you could imagine. Asking each other how our personal lives have been this last month. It's sort of like a how was the wait for you section. You know, like you've been up to anything cool? So it's like keeping up with the Locacacasters, the how was your month section. So I feel like let's ask Casey first since he's a new guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's the hot seat, isn't it? No, my month has been all right in between chapters, just kind of, working, grinding, hustling, and flowing.
Because, we all have a moment of joy when we get to read the new JoJolion chapter. But
yeah, this one actually caught me by surprise. I wasn't, usually I'm chomping at the bit, I'm waiting, then this time, I don't know, it surprised me. So I was like, oh yeah, JoJoLands, I get to read that this month.
I just did the same thing. I just called it JoJolion instead of JoJoLands.
Yeah, I gotta. It's so similar. I have to stop training myself.
It's still JJL. All he did is added a the, so now it's
all he did.
TJJL.
Yeah, it's TJJL. God. Also, what are the odds? Because I was just thinking about this too before we started here. Both Steel Ball Run and JoJolion make reference to Blue Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
Now we're in Hawaii with a blue diamond. So
wow.
what is Araki's fascination with the Elvis song Blue Hawaii?
And then in JoJolion, we got a bunch of Elvis content. We got Toru loves Elvis.
Literally listening to The Wonder of You as he summons his stand.
Josuke is hitting Elvis poses on the chapter title pages.
Which is the coolest thing that Toru ever did, but anyways, whatever.
I think that was actually a nice turn for Toru because we've had 7 amazing main villains in JoJo. Actually, we've had 6 because 2 of them were the same guy.
2 of them were the same guy.
2 of them were the same guy,
but
it was
slightly different. He came back and he was just going by Dio.
I guess he always hated his father. But we've got same guy, muscular ancients, same guy. Mm-hmm. Serial killer.
Wait, wouldn't that make it 7 instead of 6?
No, because I'm not counting Toru as a great villain. I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to work it out there. I forgot about Toru.
I was saying for the
for
beginning.
A split second, I thought when you said one of the villains was the same guy, I thought you were talking about Doppio and Diavolo.
I don't know.
I was like, I guess they're technically in a way, but no. Yeah.
I was gonna do a joke where I was like, same guy. Muscular ancients, same guy, serial killer, Italian, same guy's boyfriend.
Yeah. Same guy's boyfriend, yeah.
I just wanted to get to same guy's boyfriend. Anyway, the point is, we've had 6 great villains in JoJo, parts 1 through 7.
Phenomenal.
6 great main villains. And how do you set Toru apart? How do you do something different that makes him exciting and unique in his own way? I don't know if they ever managed to do it.
You make him a bad villain.
I don't know that they managed to do it, but I will tell you this. The bit where he's got his headphones in and he's just like snapping his fingers and singing along to the song while horrible death and devastation happens to the Higashikata family, that was a nice touch. That was fun.
The best horror moment. That is the only moment I will give him. And
because it's a moment where he seems human. He doesn't seem like a rock human. He seems like, this guy's
he's
alive.
Like even fun. Like he's being a little shit about it.
Right. You remember the meme, the trade offer with the guy in the suit and he's got his fingers together and it's like, I receive blank, you receive blank.
Yeah.
The moment where he makes Yasuho the trade offer and he's like, I receive the new Locacacast, you receive no further injuries. That was also cool.
That was a good one. That was a good bit.
Toru's like, look, man, I don't really want to kill you, but you're definitely in my way.
I actually made that meme and like put it on the as like the end card for one of the episodes.
We like brainstormed it. We came up with it on the cast, and then he put it as the end card. Usually at the very end of the show, there will be a little music playing out over the credits. Oh, our theme song for the podcast is an 8-bit cover of Soft and Wet by Prince. Because I wanted to use Soft and Wet. But, you know, you got to avoid copyright somehow.
Right. Yeah.
So over the credits...
Don't tell Prince's estate. They'll want all of this money.
Don't fucking tell them.
All of this money we're absolutely making.
We don't make a dime off of this show, man. This is just for fun.
You do it for fun. You do it for yourself. Exactly.
Dude, if we didn't have, like... If we weren't posting it, I don't think Chris and I would make time every month to hang out and talk about the new chapter. So just because we've made it a show, it always happens, which I like.
And because of this podcast, we've actually, like, been spending a lot more time together, even like not like producing content, just hanging.
Because it's like, you know, nice, I have friends that I made around the same time as Merc, but we don't like have a thing that we do together. So the friendship doesn't die, but it just sort of like goes over there and it becomes dormant. My friendship with Merc is alive and well because we kept doing this cast. Anyways, JoJo, villains, parts, chapters, covering them on a podcast.
Most of them
Chris,
are good.
How was your month?
A lot of them in JoJolion.
So I did like a couple things this month. Is like Zach and I, we watched a Tarantino movie, Inglourious Bastards. Zach has seen it before. I hadn't.
We do a little movie watch along sometimes.
It's a really. It's not what I expected at all.
On a scale of like 1 to 10, how many feet are in the movie?
For sure some, because Bridget von Hammersmark. The scene where he takes off her shoe because she lost the shoe in the basement fight. There's definitely some feet in it. Bridget von Hammersmark's feet are in the movie.
Not as much as most of his movies.
Not a ton.
Interesting.
It's not a fucking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood amount of feet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. I've been slowly working my way through Tarantino's
I legitimately went to that movie. I saw it in theaters, and right before the movie started, I went in with a group of friends, and I was like, what's the over-under that we get at least like a 45-minute cut of just Margot Robbie's feet? As a joke. I said it as a joke. And there's legitimately a scene in the movie where Sharon Tate, Margot Robbie's character, well, real person, whatever, played by Margot Robbie, she goes into one of her own movies, kicks off her boots, and then just slaps her feet right on the chair in front of her, and you get like a full 30 seconds uninterrupted shot of Margot Robbie's feet.
They are closer to the camera than her face.
Yes, it is from the perspective of you are the screen and you're looking at Margot Robbie. But mostly you're looking at her feet.
And it's an insane decision, too, because this bitch is not wearing sandals. These are not shoes that you just slip off. She's wearing, like, white, like, mid-calf go-go boots. And she takes them all the way off in the movie theater. Now, I'm something of an absolute savage. I'm a crazy person. Sometimes, when I go into the movie theater, I will take off my shoes. There's the reclining seats, and I wear boots, but they're, like, ankle-high boots. They're little like Chelsea boots. They're very comfortable. You don't have to lace them. They're great. So I can just slip off my boots and put them over there. But I keep my goddamn socks on. Like, what the hell are you doing? She was walking around in those boots, no socks. Anyway.
Yeah, I would never take off my shoes in a theater. The theaters we got in California, they are disgusting, man.
Oof.
It's like a toxic waste dump down here.
Gross, bro. In Arizona, we have Harkins. That's our that's our movie theater chain, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's it's an Arizona thing, I guess. I've not seen Harkins's anywhere else.
I don't know if we have a chain of theaters in Florida. We have Cobb theaters. Maybe that's a
Cobb theaters.
Cobb, C-O-B-B. Yeah, like
Cobb.
a Cobb salad.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. Out here
Maybe
we got
that is
like
a Florida thing. I don't know.
we got AMC, and then we got Harkins. And because Harkins is so dominant here in Arizona, that's kind of all that there's room for.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so my month was good. You know, we all experienced.
The other thing.
Oh,
Zach,
sorry. Sorry, bro. Sorry.
We did two things. Come on now. We started talking about feet, and we lost it. We lost the thread.
We did.
It
will happen
you do.
again. As you do. I do it quite frequently, in fact, in my personal life also. Anyways, proceed.
So the other thing is I started watching this show called Barry, and it's basically like the anti-Breaking Bad.
I have a friend who likes Barry.
It's a Bill Hader show.
Yes.
He directs and he stars as the title character Barry.
I'm actually a Bill Hader. I fucking can't stand that guy.
Do you really?
Oh.
No, I'm a Bill Hader.
Oh.
Sorry.
A hater of Bill Hader?
No, I
Bill
just
Hader
wanted to
hater
say
when
the joke. I don't dislike him in the
so
slightest.
Oh, I'm sorry. We totally sandbagged that.
I did. I'm sorry.
We totally sandbagged your joke there. I'm sorry.
You know who else I also dislike? I'm also a David hater.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay.
So anyway, Bill Hader plays a hitman who doesn't like killing and wants to get out of the game and be an actor.
He's trying to break good. I understand the premise.
Yes, exactly. That's why I call it the anti-Breaking Bad.
Right.
And it's a lot of fun. I just finished season 3, like just a few minutes ago, actually.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
Henry Winkler's in that show too, right? He's like his,
Fonz?
He's like his acting coach, isn't he? Yeah.
Dude, I used to watch this terrible show with my mom and my brothers called Royal Pains, and it was about like doctors, and they were like rich doctors, and they like operated on rich people. And their dad.
I've heard of that. It was on USA, right?
Yeah, their dad was Henry Winkler. He was the
Fonz. Oh my god,
and
yes, that's exactly
then
right.
like the show was like, you know, it was like medical drama, but also like interpersonal drama, and I don't know, I just kind of got into it. And there were these two guys, I think they were like brothers, and they were like both like the handsome leading men of the show. And then they had like a little sister who was like, hi, I'm the little sister character, but then she was like also like, she was like popping pills and partying and shit, and then they have to worry about her. Cool. And I remember there was a moment when I realized the show had jumped the shark, when there was an episode where they brought in the new Dalai Lama. He was like a child. He was like 8 years old, and they were like, we need you to operate on the Dalai Lama because you guys are secret rich doctors and we can't get anyone else to do it. And if anyone finds out, they'll do malpractice on him and kill him because they don't want him to be the Dalai Lama. They want it to be somebody else. And if you kill him, he reincarnates. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? When I was watching the Dalai Lama like play with an iPad and eat a bagel, I was like, I don't know what show I'm watching anymore.
That sounds like Grappler Baki levels of insanity, of like primetime television.
Yeah,
where,
it
like,
was
I'm
Baki
going
level.
to imagine a giant 7-foot praying mantis that I have to fight, and it will inflict real damage on me. Or I'm just going to imagine that I'm fighting Muhammad Ali.
And then if I imagine it hard enough, he will really be there.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I'm going to imagine the child Dalai Lama is coming into my hospital, and I have to operate on him to be a better surgeon. That's
He's doing image training.
That's Yujiro Hanma as like a surgeon. It's like, okay, Yujiro.
Imagine you're operating on the most powerful person in the world.
All right, Baki.
You make a single mistake and your life is forfeit.
He will have to reincarnate yet again.
It's the most high-stakes surgery a man can perform. Your immortality is at stake. Anyway.
You want to operate on me one day, you'll have to succeed in this surgery.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
But the catalyst for like me watching Barry was like actually, it had nothing to do with Bill Hader or like the character of Barry. It's actually like I saw one clip from the show And like what struck me was like the way that Anthony Carrigan plays a character called NoHo Hank, and I was like, I really want to see more of this guy. And I'll send you a clip. Obviously, don't play it on the podcast because copyright, and it's like 2 minutes long. But check this out after we finish recording the podcast.
All right, man.
And also, I had to get a Max subscription to watch Barry. So like, this is gonna give me the opportunity to get around to seeing like the Peacemaker show, which I wanted to see. And,
God.
True. I never actually watched that.
And also the Watchmen show.
I didn't see that. I actually don't know anything about Watchmen in any form.
Also, Rick and Morty is on Max, so I'll finally be able to watch that legally along with the show.
Oh, it's not on Hulu anymore? Or no, the seasons show up on Hulu later.
I don't have Hulu.
Oh.
No, his other show is a Hulu original though. The
Solar Opposites. Yes. Yeah. No, I actually forgot.
I can't wait to see the bit that they're gonna do on how they explain the.
Yeah, they're going to do something with it. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to do something.
Did you see how they handled it in Solar Opposites?
Yes, he's British now.
They shot him in the throat and they used the like voice repair ray or whatever.
Well, you can't really do that in Rick and Morty.
No, you can't.
Because there's like 10,000 million billion Ricks out there that didn't get shot in the throat with a vocal cord changing thing.
And they all talk the same. Yeah.
They should actually just use the vocal cord parasites from Metal Gear Solid 5, and it like eradicated the way that Ricks normally talk, so they have to talk different now.
Yeah. Like, Morty, this is what I talk like now. Woohoo!
Morty, this is what I talk like now.
Morty, this is what I talk like now. Imagine that you're fighting Muhammad Ali.
It's the most dangerous science experiment a man can perform.
We're going to the most dangerous dimension a man can go to.
The ring. All right. Okay, let's save the Yujiro impression for the Baki podcast that we're not doing.
Oh, dude. I need to get into Baki so that we can do that podcast.
I just finished all of it that came out on Netflix. I just saw
Did you really?
Up through the present.
I don't know where to start. There's so much Every time I look at Baki, there's like Baki the Grappler, there's Baki Doju, there's Baki versus Yujiro, there's Baki Goes to Space, there's the Brave
I will
Baki.
explain all of this to you in an easily understandable format after the show.
Okay, cool. I can't
Chris,
wait.
We keep getting sidetracked.
I have another friend who's really big into Baki, and he always
No, that's
tells me,
fine.
like,
that's what we're here for.
I see the Twitter clips, and I'm like, does Baki actually fight a giant praying mantis? And he's like, no, that's his imagination. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah.
Right,
like,
but from his perspective, he's taking it completely seriously. So, like, he's
taking it
throwing himself against the walls, but in his mind,
like,
it's the praying mantis that's doing it to him.
And then everyone's watching, and they're like, in complete shock.
I can see it too!
They're really fighting the praying mantis!
It's incredible.
Like, and then there's a guy named Pickle, and he's a caveman.
Yes, and his dick is out.
I just remember two more things that I did.
Okay, hit it. We keep getting Chris to talk for 2 seconds, and then we run 10 miles in the opposite direction.
No, that's fine. That's fine. both movies that I watched Blue Beetle and I watched Oppenheimer, which means this is officially now the Barbenheimer cast.
Yeah, because I've seen Barbie and not Oppenheimer, and you've seen Oppenheimer and not Barbie. So the two of us put together.
I've seen neither.
So together, between the three of us, we have one Barbenheimer.
The Barbenheimer cast with caseyaces.
Woohoo! Special guest.
Hell yeah.
I'm here for moral support.
All right.
It's the most dangerous guest you can have on a podcast.
I don't even know what to do to follow that up.
That should be the subtitle of this episode.
The most dangerous
dangerous guest on a podcast.
Oh, man. All right. So, Chris, do you have anything else for how your month was that you wanted to talk about?
No, that's it. I can't believe I was nervous about this episode.
Yeah, Chris was like, man, our first guest, I'm kind of nervous. And I was like, I am too. I know this guy from Twitter, and we're friends, but I've never talked to him on Discord before, so we're going to see how this goes. But it seems to be going swimmingly.
I was just going to come in like guns blazing, just off the bat, off rip.
Just shooting from the hip, asking questions later. Kill them all and let God sort them out. That's what I say.
I came here to chew ass and kick bubblegum, and quite frankly, I'm all out of bubblegum, so...
Nothing but ass from here on out.
Nothing but ass in my mouth.
My month was good, except that it was bad. I got dumped, and now I have no girlfriend, and I'm very sad. But
that's not a great thing.
You make mistakes in life, and you move on, and you figure your shit out, and you just keep going. I'm getting a lot more hours at work now. I'm making more money, so there's upsides. I got free time.
Exactly. In the wise words of one Steven Universe, if every pork chop was perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs.
Yeah, I suppose so. And it was a tasty hot dog, but, a pork chop would sustain you for longer.
That is true.
Anyway, I've been doing some cool stuff. Like, I've been watching a lot of Adventure Time. I'm rewatching that shit from the beginning. I'm on, season 4 now. Really
I'm also on
that.
season 5. I've never finished Adventure Time all the way through.
Me neither. I stopped watching it at some point, so now I'm like, I know there's good shit at the end that I want to get to.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to watch Fiona and Cake.
Me too.
Because I keep seeing Twitter clips on it. I saw that Brian David Gilbert was in it. I saw that there's,
Brian David Gilbert is in memes. Fucking Starfield, too.
I didn't know that. Wow.
He has a little NPC role. He has a voice, and he's like,
That's awesome.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. He sounds like Brian David Gilbert.
Wow.
I have a huge crush on him, TBH.
Twitter memes now. Me too, honestly. He's a good man. Twitter memes of BMO and the Lich are best friends now, and I want to understand what that's all about. Also, spoilers for Fiona and Cake, because I just spoiled that probably.
Oops.
For anyone who hasn't watched it.
I haven't, but that's an enticing nugget of knowledge that'll make me want to go watch it more.
I just keep seeing memes about it. I don't know the context.
I haven't, but I wasn't paying attention, to be fair.
Cool.
I kind of turned my brain off when I heard of Adventure Time.
Oh,
no, that's fair.
I'm sorry, bro. But my month has been good. I'm a little sad, but also there's been other cool shit going on in my life, such as I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter with my brothers. I found this cool ass fucking Rise. I'm a Monster Hunter.
I love Rise.
I'm a Monster Hunter 3 man. I started playing that in high school.
I haven't played any of Sunbreak yet. I need to.
I started playing 3 in high school, and then I bought 4 without having finished 3, and then World came out, and I was excited, but I never finished 3 or 4. So I opened up my DS and started up my file from 3 from high school back up again, and I was just plowing through Monster Hunter 3. And then my brothers were like, Rise is free on Game Pass. So I kind of had to go for it. I didn't want to skip all the way to the newest one. I wanted to play World first. But it was like, you can either keep playing Monster Hunter 3 by yourself, or no one will ever co-op with you ever as long as you live, because there's no online anymore. Or you can play Rise with your brothers, and you can have online good times. So I've been playing Monster Hunter.
Rise and do some cool shit. Do some cool grappling shit.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, Chris. So you talked about you have HBO Max and you can watch Peacemaker now, which is fantastic, because I have met several people in my life who have seen The Suicide Squad 2021, but have not seen
that movie's
Peacemaker.
Amazing. Yeah.
That movie's so fucking good. And I keep meeting people, who have seen it, but not Peacemaker. And I'm like, dude, if you liked that, you're going to love Peacemaker. It's more of a good thing. Like, if you liked that movie, you owe it to yourself to check this shit out.
Yeah, and I know. I wanted to check it out pretty soon after it came out, but I was waiting to binge it, and then stuff kept coming up in my life, and also I didn't really have an HBO Max. Zach, I know, had offered to share his HBO Max password with me to watch it. But now I have my own HBO Max, so I can just watch that when I finish Barry.
But there's people in my life constantly that I'm like, hey, you've seen Suicide Squad 2021. Have you seen Peacemaker? And they're like, no. And I have yet to convince a single person to go do it, to go take the plunge.
I'm convinced. I just need to actually sit down and do it.
And I keep asking people,
be a good actor.
And it keeps not working out for me until the other day at the bar, this old ass man that I know, his name is Wayne. He's 60 years old or something. He's in his 50s or 60s. He's got long white hair. His name is Wayne, and we play chess together and pool and pente, and he's a good friend. And
can we get him on the podcast?
Yeah, let's get Wayne on the show. Anyway.
No, be like, okay, Wayne, here's the brief rundown.
Wayne
JoJo's
is
a very easy series to understand.
He's kind of, so there was a man, and his carriage went off a cliff, and then fast forward 1,000 chapters, there's these fucking guardrails.
Yeah, they come to life. They eat the alternate version of the second protagonist. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Anyway, so Wayne is one of those guys. He's an older guy that who's a stoner, and he has cowboy wisdom. You know what I mean? He's that type of dude. So Wayne is very cool, and a song comes on in the bar, and I'm like, oh shit, man, this song was in Peacemaker. And he was like, Peacemaker, I love that show. That was good. When are they making more of that? Like, really? Wayne, you? The guy least likely of anyone to be like up on new comic book movies?
So I was imagining like stoner Sam Elliott, but then like when you started talking as him, I switched to Joe Montagna.
That's pretty good. I think Wayne would appreciate that. I think he'd be like, nice. But yeah, so the other day when I was at work, I was doing all this. I was saying, the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, you gotta watch it. And I was talking to these two guys I was working with. Their names were, fucking one guy's name was Azariah, but I forgot what the other guy's name was. But they were two guys, Azariah and like Josh. You know, it was like that John Mulaney joke where it's like in the Bible, it's always like Rachel rode into town with her husband Zephariasis. Like, why does she get to be Rachel? It was like one of them had a very ordinary name and the other one was Azariah. And I remember his name because I was like, I will commit that to memory. And they were talking with me about DC movies and stuff, and Azariah was like, I love Suicide Squad. And then it took us a while to realize that he loved the 2016 version, and that's what he was talking about. And it was a great movie to him, and that's all he knew. He didn't know there was another. So we're talking about it, and like it's not quite clicking. And then we're like, wait, you like that movie? And we go do this whole thing. Fast forward a couple hours, the day of work is done at 8 p.m., but we're scheduled till 10. And I'm like, guys, I need the hours. I would just like to stay around and get the hours. You know, if anything comes up, we'll do it, but we'll just sit around for another hour or two, and we'll get paid a little bit more money. And it's fine to do that because we were scheduled for that in the first place. So, you know, mathematically, the company can afford it because that's on paper how much we're supposed to be for today. So we'll just chill.
Get the money.
I grab a laptop from the company like storeroom because I work in AV, right? We got laptops and speakers and shit just hanging out. So I grab a laptop and I open it up and I plug it into a speaker and I'm like, Azariah, Josh, come over here. We are watching The Suicide Squad 2021 right now. And so we watch like the first hour and a half of the movie. And then they're like, all right, man, I gotta go home. Shit, I gotta like go home and make food for myself and walk my dog. And I was like, okay, but you know, do you need my HBO Max password? Because I don't want you to go home and then forget about this and never watch the second half of the movie. And he's like, no, I'm watching it tonight. I am going home and I'm finishing this shit. And then I'm gonna start Peacemaker. So that's my one potential successful convert. Literally, we had nothing to do, so I just sat him down and started playing the movie in front of him, and it fucking worked. I thought maybe at most I'd get 15, 20 minutes in, then he'd be like, all right, okay, and that's enough. But he let it go for like an hour and a half.
No, he's like, listen, I see what you're saying, but I still prefer the Jared Leto Joker.
Oh my god, he was defending Jared Leto Joker as like a good choice. I'm serious.
And I wouldn't say it's a bad choice if you want like a real life creepy sex maniac to play your character.
Yeah, but is that...
Then sure.
Was that a good idea, though?
No.
I mean, is it there's two separate ways you can critique something. You can say, it's a good idea, but it was executed bad. Or you can go a level below that and say, this is a bad idea, regardless of execution. And that's how I feel about the Joker. I don't think creepy sex pervert is the way to play him.
No, it's not. I yearn for the unexpected. No. Well, yeah, but I want him to just be a funny clown man again. Just get like another Cesar Romero like guy to just come in and dance around and paint over his own mustache with the face paint, and just have him be the Joker.
If you wanted that, the only way you'd get that is if they did a 3 Jokers movie at this point. And I don't think anybody wants that.
I don't want that.
3 Jokers?
It's a comic book arc.
Yeah, there's implied to be 3 different Jokers.
Oh.
None of which are the same guy, I think. I don't know. Comics are stupid.
That's kind of lame. You're telling me there's one real Joker and 2 copycats?
No, there's 3 real Jokers.
No, but I mean, like, one of them came after the other, didn't they?
So, one is like the Golden Age version, and then one's like the Silver Age version, and then you have like the modern Joker.
So at a certain point, Golden Age one dies, and then some other guy is like, I'm gonna be the new Joker now. I don't even want to think about this. This is dumb. Let's get out of here.
I don't know enough to discuss this. I just know that there's 3 Jokers in some capacity.
Do you guys remember when they made the Cruella de Vil movie?
I sure do. I remember seeing those ugly CG dolls kick her mom off the roof.
She's the female jonker because Dalmatians killed her parents.
She is the jonker, but for women.
It's incredible. I saw someone make a tier list of like female jonker movies.
Stop fucking making sympathetic villains. I'm so fucking sick of it.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I
love when a villain is just an incorrigible piece of shit for no reason.
Scar from The Lion King.
Let the villain be a bastard.
Scar from The Lion King is a bastard.
Frieza.
He's a bad guy, but we
fucking
still like
Jack
him.
Horner.
We're not rooting for him.
Jack Horner's great.
We don't want him to win, but we like him.
But you love to watch him lose.
Right. You love them like you love a wrestling heel. Like they're making you mad. They're doing their shtick right.
Frieza is just like a weird, evil, purple space racist that comes to Goku's planet and calls him a monkey all the time. And everyone loves him.
I mean, he's just got swag. He's just got style.
Swag.
He just does. I really hope we get a villain who is swagful for the JoJoLands.
Dio was a great example because he's just entertaining all the time. I'm a bit into One Piece also, if you didn't know this about me.
I did. Chris does not.
Recently, in the anime, they've been adapting Wano Country, which has one of my personal favorite One Piece villains named Kaido. Kaido's whole backstory is that he is very, very, very strong. That's pretty much it. Nobody can kill Kaido, not even Kaido himself. And he has pride. And that's pretty much it. He's just the strongest guy ever. And he really likes to fight. And he's like, okay, I'm going to keep this country under my thumb until someone strong enough can show up and force me to stop. Otherwise, oh well.
So he believes in might makes right, but he's also not a hypocrite, you know? Like, if you come along and beat him, he's like, well, that's justice.
He owns up to it. He fights like 15 dudes straight, non-stop, no breaks, and then gets like 4 rematches against Luffy because he keeps kicking his ass.
That's awesome.
Have you checked out the Netflix One Piece?
I actually have not yet. I watched like the first 30 minutes over at a friend's house, and
guys, I'll be right back. Give me 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, because I've been hearing good things about it.
I've also been hearing good things. I've heard it is, as far as live action anime adaptations go, pretty much as good as you can get because it actually respects and understands a lot of the source material and what made it work initially, and it's not like trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not trying to be like a live action Death Note where we're basically just gonna make something completely different and call it Death Note. Ryuka's there. He's voiced by the Green Goblin himself, Willem Dafoe, but that's about where the similarities begin and end, other than the Death Note titular thing being there. But no, One Piece seems to just be like, we're not doing it one-to-one, but we're following similar story beats, doing things a little differently, obviously, because live action and blah, 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 blah. But it seems to have its heart in the right place, which I think is better than I can say for something like the live action Cowboy Bebop.
Or Death Note.
Like the thing
or
about,
Death Note, as I just said. Yeah.
Because, like, the thing about One Piece, like, my take on it is, like, I see people really, really enjoying the shit out of One Piece, and I think there's gotta be, like, I would probably actually really be into this.
Right, there's gotta be something to it.
There's a fucking 1,000 episodes.
Okay, there's more chapters, technically, there's more chapters of JoJo than there are of One Piece. Technically.
Yes, but I got in on JoJo at like part 3 when the part 3 anime was coming out, and I started watching the anime, caught up with the anime, and then started reading the manga. Like, I didn't try to get in on like the ground floor of 1,000 fucking story building.
I would like to say, responding to that.
Yes.
Responding to that exact thing, I will say there was a difference in how much it looked like there was.
Oh, absolutely, because JoJo's divided into parts.
Right, it's divided into parts, and as well, when the part 1 and 2 and 3 animes came out, we didn't know exactly, like, you know, you could go look it up and be like, oh, there's more parts. But it didn't feel like by watching episode 1 of JoJo, I'm committing to a journey of 1,000 miles. It just felt like I'm watching a show that looks cool. People didn't know that they were getting into something enormous and that will take them however many years or months of, you know, their journey on JoJo to, like, read it all the way to the end. Because it just seemed like, ooh, this is the nice, cool, trendy anime. You know, it's funny and people like it and I'm going to watch it. And then before you know it, you're caught up with part 9. But, you know, it's like a thing where it doesn't look like an enormous mountain to climb, and you just kind of start climbing it out of interest. And before you know it, you're there. One Piece, I think, looks much more like a huge mountain to climb to people from a distance.
I can absolutely agree to that, but the thing that I will always say is if you choose to read the manga, it is a much less daunting task because the chapters go by relatively quickly. They're fun, they're easy to look easy to look at, I should say. The art style is very... I know it's hit or miss for some people. It works for me. I like how exaggerated and silly and cartoony it is. And it just kind of throws you into it very early on. There's not a lot of preamble. There's not a lot of build-up. And
we've talked
what the world and the
on the
characters
show
are about.
about the benefits of like pacing when it comes to like manga versus anime, where like you control the pace of the action.
Manga moves as fast as you can understand it, which is amazing.
Exactly how I would describe One Piece, and for most of the time it's very easy to understand, and the world just kind of gradually falls into place the more you read it and the more exposition and the more lore you get. It's never all in your face all at once. It's just, oh, we're going to this place. We're going to Arlong Park. Oh, there's Fishman here. Jump ahead a couple more arcs. Oh, there's more Fishman. It's tying back to Arlong Park. We're meeting more members of his crew. We're talking about Fishman Island, where they all come from. And it just very gradually, like, inserts bits and pieces of world building. It is a very meticulously, carefully written series where there's always something new to catch your attention. There's always new information being revealed at a relatively steady pace that you're never like, ugh. Sometimes reading it in the moment, a lot of people get a bit fatigued. People got a bit fatigued during the end of the Wano manga because the fights started to drag on a little too long, but in the end, there's an overall like satisfying conclusion to every arc, and then we proceed from there, kind of just learn more about the world and where the adventure is going next. I would still highly recommend it.
It seems like one of those series that I know I will enjoy. There's like a lot to chew on. There's a lot to dig into. It's one of those where like, you know, some things are shallower than others. Some things are deeper than others. And it's like when you find something that has that level of deepness to it, you're like, oh, this is great. I can just dive further and further and further. Like there's always more to learn. That's why people love Dark Souls so much, because it's like you play the game and you're like, oh yeah, I've completed the challenge. I feel good about myself as a gamer. But if you want to dive deeper, if you want to like take a magnifying glass up to it, there's like layers and layers of totally unspoken shit to know. So I feel like One Piece on the story is like goofy pirate story, but then there's all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's 100% it. And if you really wanted to get into the weeds of it and divide it into more bite-sized pieces, there's like the main story arcs and then the overarching story sagas. So there's like the East Blue Saga. Myth arc. Yeah, the East Blue Saga, which encompasses Romance Dawn, Orange Town, Syrup Village, the Baratier, Arlong Park, Lowtown. So
that's kind of your parts.
And then you go to those are your parts, and those are your bitty bite-sized islands, and then you move to the Arabasta Saga, which has its own set, and then so on and so forth. Neat. Some sagas are longer than others. Some make up for it by having not smaller islands, but bigger set pieces at the cost of less story arcs per saga.
That makes
sense.
I
could start by like checking out basically like East Blue and see if like this is something I want to stick with or not.
Yes, if you're hooked by the end of the East Blue Saga, you are probably going to enjoy the rest of the series because you get for a lot of people it's Baratier and Arlong Park that really solidify people, and you get there relatively quickly. You get like a lot of those really.
And Arlong Park is like where they get Nami, right? So this is like early stuff.
They have Nami prior, but that's when.
They lose her and then they have to go back to get her.
Yes,
Yeah, I know
that's
some
the whole
stuff.
plot of Arlong Park.
I don't want to talk about One Piece for too long on this show, especially because we've gone like 40 minutes and we have yet to talk about a single
We have yet
page.
to even, to be
However,
fair, we had a lot of
this is
preamble to get out of the way with.
This is now the
with
Straw
the
Hat
special
cast.
No,
Yeah,
please,
oh my God,
no,
we should make
God,
a Straw Hat.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yes! The One Piece is real!
I did watch a
Can
YouTube
we
video.
get much higher?
Can we get much higher?
So high.
So high.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh. All right, shut up, everybody. The one thing I will
Okay,
say
fine.
about One Piece, I watched a YouTube video of a guy complaining about hockey, and he doesn't like how things that in the early series were just done as like things that are they're retroactively explained with hockey. For example, Sanji's move where he spins around on his foot super fast until the point where his foot is superheated, and then he kicks you with the superheated foot, and you like catch on fire and take a bunch of damage. Someone asked Oda pre-hockey, they asked him, why does that move not burn Sanji when he uses it? And Oda's answer is that while his foot burns hot, his heart burns hotter.
His emotions burn hotter. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, it's
such
awesome.
a cool. That's so funny and goofy, and it's such a cool.
Yeah.
And I don't like that it's retroactively re-explained as just like part of a power system.
Hockey is introduced in episode/chapter 1 of One Piece. And it goes.
You're telling me that was Conqueror's hockey that Shanks used in that moment?
Yes, that he used on the Sea Beast. Absolutely.
Well, there's people out there that are of the opinion that that was just supposed to be a cool shonen anime thing, like a trope that they do, like, hey, get the fuck out of here, and just the gaze is enough. It wasn't necessarily indicative of a power that would be a mechanic in the story.
From what I saw...
I'm regurgitating the opinion of a guy who made an angry video that I thought was funny. Like, I haven't read it.
Yeah. No, of course. From the interpretation that even the live action gets, there's like, if I'm remembering this correctly... There's literally like a red aura that emanates around Shanks's face when he looks at the Sea Beast in the anime, if I'm not mistaken, and then it just swims off and it's like, oh, I don't like that. Shanks's hockey is busted in One Piece. He's got crazy stuff.
All right. Okay.
I like hockey.
All right. Okay. All right, One Piecers. Take those fucking straw hats off, and I want you to put sailor hats on.
The straw hat stays on.
The straw hat stays on.
We can maybe discuss a little bit of JoJo.
I'll put the sailor hat on top of the straw hat.
That's a good compromise, and I'll take it. I'm going to be wearing an Usagi beanie on top of my sailor hat.
True.
And then a Rohan headband under that.
I'm going to be wearing the Usagi, like, what is it? Like the latex suit, the jumpsuit, with the straw hat, with the sailor hat, with the beanie, with the flower crown of Dragona, and then Paco's big hat on top.
I really like the bit at the very beginning of JoJolion where they go to the hat shop. And you see all the silly JoJo hats from the series are all there together.
Yeah.
SBR hat shop.
I like the reference to Part 4 Kira in Part 8 Kira's apartment.
Yeah.
Where he's got a statue of a hand.
And he's got the Mona fucking Lisa on the wall, bro.
And he's got the Mona Lisa on the wall.
It's very cool.
It's genetic. It passes down through time and space.
And it's a total misdirect because you go there and you go, uh-oh, hands? Mona Lisa? Yeah, this is serial Kira. This is a bad guy.
Woman in the bathtub? Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's crazy.
He's even creepier than the other one.
I feel like we should have an entirely other podcast where we have Casey on just to talk about JoJolion, because I feel like we could do that for 3 hours.
I was gonna say, if you want to have like a 5-hour podcast of just us talking about JoJolion, please.
The Locacacast Season 0.
Season 0. It's a bonus episode. It's not covering any chapter. It's just grievances and gripes. All right, so I want to talk about this chapter. Do you guys like this weird-ass 9-pointed star thing he started doing?
I don't understand it, but I think it's pretty cool to look at.
It looks like, go back one chapter, or, I mean, I have all the chapters just downloaded so I can just page through them.
It looks like he fixed it. I'm not sure if, like...
It just looks a little whack. It looks like the math doesn't check out. Like, a 9-pointed star shouldn't be allowed to exist.
Nah, come on.
I mean, you could draw a 9-pointed star.
It's the lands. It's all the directions that they're gonna go in. It's foreshadowing, probably.
But it's all screwed up looking. His ruler wasn't straight when he drew it.
It also maybe is meant to look like the top of a diamond. I don't know.
Oh, that's actually a really cool point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, think about it. It's a crazy diamond.
It's the craziest diamond you've ever seen.
Crazy diamond.
The diamond do be crazy.
Actually, the diamond is unbreakable.
The diamond is not Crash. That's what I know.
It does look like he fixed it from like the last time we saw it. It looks a little better.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at all the little things. There's money around it. There's a watermelon around it. There's drinks, a pineapple, a plane.
I really like this little drawing of Rohan. He's not drawn in much detail, but he's very handsome.
No, just the side profile, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a very tiny Rohan face.
Appears to be like the detail from like the face of a playing card.
Yeah. It's that perfect lack of detail, stylized sort of look.
Well, I'm talking about like to the left of Dragona here. This little swoop thing. It sort of reminds me of like like a face card.
Yeah. I was thinking you were saying that about Rohan because he's like facing directly in profile. He kind of looks like a playing card himself.
A little bit.
He is a bit of a card.
You card. All right, I'm moving on. Okay. I'm going to the next page.
Okay.
So we're on this fucking page, and we're hanging out. This is a recognizable location. I saw somebody point out like what actual location in Hawaii this is, but I have forgotten.
They doxed.
I feel like I've been here before.
There's a no, it was Hamon Beat. You know Hamon Beat on YouTube?
Oh yes.
Yeah, so his chapter review on the next page in the background of the food court, you can see canes. You can see Raising Cane's chicken fingers, but it's crazy because in the video, Hamon Beat is like, but there's no canes on the Big Island. There's no canes on the island of Hawaii. There are some on Oahu, but that's like not where our characters are right now.
Not where they are.
It's kind of a big deal that that's not where they are. Anyway, so
he went out of his way to draw out Raising Canes.
He was just really hungry. Give the guy a break.
They walk 10 feet and accidentally teleport over to Oahu so they can sit next to a Raising Canes.
Is this the work of an enemy stand?
As you do.
JoDio's being flirted with, and he's ignoring them.
By the bikini babes. He's all about his money. He doesn't care.
I like how Dragona is like, don't flirt with these shady adults, but JoDio is literally just standing there, not reciprocating.
Does not care, yeah.
He's too cool.
He's doing his best Jotaro impression, not caring about women.
Literally swagged out. Although his best Jotaro impression would be screaming at them to stop talking to him, as opposed to what he's doing, which is just kind of standing there very coolly.
His best Jotaro impression would be screaming at his mommy and then getting really upset when his mommy doesn't give him a good morning kiss.
I mean, this is within the realm of possibility for him. Isn't he 15 and it's 2023?
Yeah, exactly.
This is the first time I've ever been older than a JoJo character. This is
the first time I've been around for to witness the whole start of a JoJo JoJo
Well, here's the thing, man. JoJolion has been running since 2011.
Yeah.
Steel Ball Run had concluded a little while before that. The JoJo anime comes out in 2011.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's anybody in the West, except if you're like a real OG, like you were reading fan translations in the 90s. I don't think there's any JoJo fans in the US who weren't created by the anime, and as such, we all came in after 2011. So from our perspective, this has always been a story told in 8 parts. To witness the beginning of a new part is like something fucking strange none of us could have imagined.
My quick little side story of how I first got introduced into JoJo was obviously via the anime, but I had only ever seen, because it was the big thing at the time, screenshots and like out of context moments from Stardust Crusaders.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I thought JoJo was a story about anime Indiana Jones who goes around and yells at toilets all day. So I started episode 1 of Phantom Blood, and I was
basically that's like the distillation of like 3 different JoJos.
Yeah, so
and one of them is Polnareff.
And one of them is Polnareff, exactly. And so I started Phantom Blood, and within the first 15 minutes I was like, I don't think I'm watching the right show. And then I put it down. And then I asked a friend who was into JoJo, and I was like, is this the right show? I thought it was about, like, dudes with ghosts and, like, an old guy. And he's like, no, yeah, it'll make sense. You just have to watch it.
It'll be that eventually.
It'll be that eventually. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, I get it now. It all makes sense. And then it got to what it was that I thought it was. And I was like, this is really cool. I like JoJo. And now I'm here.
Once upon a time, I was, in 2015, I think, I was, like, into mashups, and I was in the mashup community, and, like, I love Triple Q and Botanic Sage, and these guys are all my inspirations. And I meet a couple other little mashup dudes, like our friend HBJ we've discussed previously, and this guy, Chris Merkel, and our other friend, John SP2000. So, I'm talking to these guys on Twitter, and we're all just, like, having a goofy, silly time, just making tweets about stuff. I remember there was a time when I was at a holiday party for, like, a hotel that I worked at, and I was like, if this tweet gets 25 retweets, I will get the DJ to play Snow Halation. And I made it happen. And I remember Chris and John were like, you got the retweets, you gotta do it now, bro. So we're all little friends on Twitter. And then one day I'm like, I just found out about Discord. I am in Discord servers, and I'm having a great time. Do you guys want to come be in a Discord server with me? John and Merc do not know what Discord is, but they're like, sure. So they get in, and I'm like, here it is. It's Discord. It's a Discord server. And John is like, I don't have a mic, though. And Chris is like, yeah, I don't have a mic either, so then I just have this Discord server with the three of us that no one's talking in. Merc leaves and never comes back for like 2 years. It's just me and John sitting in there. It's just me and John sitting in there. And I make a little bit of small talk, and it's like, it's not as fun as on Twitter because it's just the two of us. And then like 2 weeks go by without anyone saying anything. And then I post some kind of meme, and he posts a meme back that has Dio in it. And I'm like, I wonder who's that. And I think I said something like, I just finished this anime. I just watched One Punch Man or something. And he was like, JoJo next. And I was like, yeah, for sure JoJo next. Because I had heard about it from other people.
Right.
And so I watch JoJo, and then I come back in there, and I'm like, John, I just started watching the show. It's like Castlevania, but like this shit is awesome. I'm super into it. The ending theme is so funky. And he's like, you'd never heard of Yes before? And I was like, no. So then John and I, just through me starting JoJo and us talking about it, John and I keep that server alive by ourselves for months. Until eventually we bring HBJ in, and then we bring in another friend, and another, and Chris comes back. Discord is popular now, and Chris has a microphone, and he wants to come hang out with us. So, like, we re-got the guy from the very beginning, and the whole point is it was because of my mashup friends and my desire to make this little Discord server where we could all hang out that I ended up talking to John, and he introduced me to JoJo, or at least pushed me to go watch it. And if that hadn't happened, if John and I hadn't had something to talk about, then the server would have been no more. There would be no crew of Zach's mashup homies that he still is friends with to this day. There would be none of it. There would be no Merc. There would be no Locacacast. It's all because of JoJo and John and that one day in the Discord when he posted the meme. It was Dio as an Undertale enemy. That's what the meme was. God. Anyway.
I remember one of the first JoJo memes that I saw that I was like, can't even wrap my head around what this means. It was the Five Nights at Freddy's security guard, and someone drew him in the JoJo style with the closing doors behind him, and the doors had arms, and it was like named Five Nights at Freddy's security guard. Stan named the doors.
The doors.
I don't understand what this means. I have to watch JoJo now because this is just ridiculous. This is absurd. And then I watched it, and I was like, this is stupid. I love it.
Yeah, and JoJo had a sort of ridiculous, absurd allure to it. You were like, I gotta know what that's all about.
I gotta know why the man shouts in English all the time.
And that's the story of how, like, our group of friends basically survived long enough to actually become a thing. But then, like, there's the story of how this podcast became a thing where Zach, I believe, was like, hey, do you want to do a JoJolion podcast? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was the story. I'm pretty sure I was messaging you all the time because I did my JoJo journey. We're all in the Discord together. This is circa like 2017, 2016. I finished my JoJo journey. I finished part 7. I start part 8. I get like 5-10 chapters in and I stall right out. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm just going to wait until more of this is out. So Chris is already reading JoJolion monthly at that point. I stall out for like...
He's like, oh, it's so great. It's going to be good all the way to the end. Trust.
He's reading it monthly. And I think, Chris, when you started...
We were so naive at that time.
I was so naive. I still had hope until like the last 3 chapters.
When you started reading it, weren't you like... You were like the newest chapter for you when you started. It was like Yotsuyu Yagiyama, right? Like it was the fight in the garden with Norisuke?
By the way, ring the bell.
Ring that bell! Ding, 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 ding! Casey, we have a thing on this show where every episode somehow I manage to find a way to mention Yotsuyu Yagiyama and the I Am a Rock fight.
I love I Am a Rock. That's like one of the best fights.
What? What was that?
We got a soundboard.
What? You did a vine boom right as he said I am a rock.
I am a
How
rock.
the fuck? Did the capture pick that up? Wait, do another one. Nobody say anything.
I heard it.
Yeah, the OBS picked that up. How do you do that? Where? Oh my god.
If you go down to like the lower... there you go.
This is so dumb.
Wait,
we are gonna do this forever now.
Invented.
Wait, Discord has a... Oh, that's right. The Prime has a soundboard, doesn't it?
We should have done... Well,
Discord's
I don't have Prime. I'm just doing it. Oh, but West has the vine boom.
You can do it without Nitro.
Okay.
Wait, where do you do it from?
If you look
There's
at
a little
like
button.
the buttons at the bottom and like all the way on the left side.
Hang on,
like
guys.
at the
Technical
bottom below our
difficulties.
icons.
Oh, I see. Oh my god.
So it's like Discord sounds, and then
which one is the Vine Boom?
well, the Vine Boom is only for
the Vine
his
Boom is
server.
in West.
It's in our server, but I didn't know about this. This is crazy. I want to go get Discord Nitro just to fucking. Man, it's $100 a year. That shit sucks. Shut up! Stop that! Stop that right the fuck now.
The podcast.
Oh my god.
It's all gone wrong.
This is insane.
Oh boy.
I did not know that was here. Anyway, so the
most
point is...
dangerous guest on a podcast.
I Am a Rock is the greatest fight in JoJolion. Yotsuyu Yagiyama is one of the greatest characters ever put to page.
He's the most dangerous stand user of all, Maki.
Anyway, every episode I find a way to mention Yotsuyu Yagiyama, and we always say ring that bell, as in like there's a little ding-a-ling-a-ling, like a bell to ring, but there isn't one.
It's
so
like
this is
the word of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a substitute for that. This is incredible. I didn't know this was here. That's great.
We've elevated our podcast game to the next level.
This is incredible. I didn't know this was a thing. I'm gonna have
Now
to buy
we
Nitro
are
and
rock.
program some of my own sounds just to use them on the show. This
God.
has got to happen.
We need to add like an actual bell for like the Yotsuyu Yagiyama bit.
Right. What about this? Was that anything?
Was that a bell?
No,
it's
it was
it's
me.
gotta be like a. It's gotta be like a you know like the boxing ring bell sort of.
Yeah. Like, ding ding.
I just put some metal objects in my hand and jingled them around to try and make a bell
Actually,
noise. It didn't work because my hand's not metal. You see, unfortunate. Anyways,
Well,
most people's hands aren't metal, Zach. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
I know.
Not
That's what
all
I
of us
tell
can
myself.
beat Joseph Joestar.
Not all of us can be Metallica guitarist, missing fingers guy. Black Sabbath guitarist, missing fingers guy. Black Sabbath bassist, missing fingers guy.
Sure.
Pulpo eating his own fingers in part 5 guy.
I still don't understand that scene.
I don't. It's too far away. It's too distant from us now. Let's not even think about it. So, Chris, you
distant
started
memory.
reading JoJolion monthly like years before I did, and you guys were on Yotsuyu Yagiyama. By the time I caught up, the newest chapter that I got to see get released, I think was like chapter 90. So when I caught up, Ojiro Returns had just finished.
Oh,
and we were about to get into it's just Head Doctor from here to the end of the part.
Mm-hmm.
The last...
Which, oh boy.
Yeah. So I could have been reading JoJolion monthly for years. I could have been doing it with Chris that whole time. We could have had a fucking 5-year-long podcast. But I was like, nah, this shit gay. I'ma check back in later when there's 500 chapters instead of 10.
When is JoJo not gay, Zach?
I posted
That's
about this
true.
on Twitter the other day. Any JoJo fan, any solid, genuine JoJo fan, when confronted with quote-unquote JoJo is gay, should just be like, hell yeah, it is. You know,
yes,
only a coward,
no denying
only a
it.
weakling would be like, no. You know what I mean?
No, the only reason that those two guys in part 5 were like touching up on each other was to like activate their stand powers or something, their synergy. I couldn't remember the names of talking heads.
Tiziano and Squalo.
Squalo and
Thank
Tiziano,
you,
yeah.
Tiziano and Squazo.
Squalo. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They're
Squazo.
Italians. They're Italians. It doesn't matter.
They are Italians, and it doesn't matter.
It's a
Those are two
make-believe
true
language.
things. Hey, man, everything's made up.
Yeah.
Did you hear my watch beep in the background?
I sure did. I heard it for but a second.
Everything's made up. My watch went beep beep, like hell yeah.
Beep, beep, yeah, brother.
It was supporting me from a distance. All right, well, we've gotten pretty far off the beaten path. I say we should talk about
So is this a
chapter some
JoJoLands
way.
podcast?
Yeah.
Is that what I understand?
Allegedly,
Is that what I'm to
Allegedly.
understand? I see.
for tax purposes, yes.
All right. So he's flirting with the ladies, or they're flirting with him. He sees the cops. The cops don't do a goddamn thing. They walk right past him, and they're like, "Okay, I guess Rohan didn't report us." But
Yay.
I have some questions about that.
Insert Rohan emoji.
You know, they left Rohan like tied up still.
Yeah.
You know? Like, the police are still gonna get to his house and find shit destroyed and things broken into and obviously stolen. Rohan tied up and immobilized.
Here's
No,
the
And
thing.
he's still
Here's
gonna
the
have
way-
to say,
Officer,
no,
Here's-
there's
No,
nobody
supposed to be.
here. Nothing
no.
happened.
No. Here's the way that he would explain it. This is part of my artistic process.
I was
Oh my
gonna
god,
say,
he's
Casey,
so
I was
eccentric
gonna
he can get
say,
away with it.
100%, yeah.
I needed this for a scene I'm writing in Pink Dark Boy.
I mean, if he can get away with eating that spider, and people will let him.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, this is just like an average Tuesday for Rohan. He's like, "Oh, guys, you should see the stuff I do for my manga. It's crazy."
I thought you were gonna say they come in and they find shit destroyed, and he's like tied up and immobilized, and he's like, "This is a weird sex thing. Please leave immediately. I
He's
do
like,
not need your help."
It was
It's
the
like-
wind.
It was
It's
the
like
wind.
that song, Legendary Fight with Rohan Kishibe, Normal Tuesday Night for Rohan Kishibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Normal Tuesday night.
Normal
So-
Tuesday night for Rohan Kishibe emoji.
Fantastically enough, it seems like our characters are about to have a normal Tuesday night as well, because the cops have no suspicion for them, and they're just got 2 hours till their flight board, so let's go get some food and drinks. They're just like
Let's
chilling.
go to the Cane's Chicken.
Fucking
Why?
Paco
What
loves
is the
Sprite.
dot? What is the dot on top of Jodio's head? I still don't understand it.
I don't know. Maybe it's like the point on your crown, on your scalp, at which like all of your hairs come back to. You
My
know?
theory is it's the blowhole from which November rain arises from.
Oh hey,
It's the-
speaking
it's,
of,
it's like the star birthmark for
Exactly.
Josuke.
He's got a hole directly on the top of his head.
speaking of
that
November
summons his
rain,
stand.
I have something I want to talk to you guys about. Can you guys see my my share screen? Okay,
I can.
I'm switching
I can
over
see
to it now.
I can see the screen.
you can see it.
It
Okay,
is being
great.
shared.
Because I have a question. Do you guys remember in this fight, just last chapter, when Jodio like was trying to hit the cats with November Rain, and he like
Yes.
pushes off the tree and he swings over in order to
Yeah.
use November Rain to shoot at the cats? Chris and I were talking about, I wonder why he has to do that. Like, can it only shoot directly down from him? Like,
See,
it has to
that's
be
what
from
I-
his head to his toes?
We've
direction
gotten
of it?
no direct confirmation, but that's my assumption. Yes.
Well,
is
here's
that
the
the
thing,
range
guys.
of November Rain is that he can only use it directly above himself.
You know what's crazy is that that's deconfirmed by just the most recent chapter, because look at that. What the fuck is that then if it has to go from his head to his toes? He shoots it upside down at himself.
I think as long as it's just directly above him.
Okay. So it
I
doesn't
feel like that's the only
He couldn't put it above the cats from where he was.
Yeah.
So
the
he had
range
to-
just seems to be like a 3-foot radius from the center point of his own body.
All
He
right,
had to
so it
basically
doesn't matter
orient
his
himself so that the rain
orientation.
bullets would be going sideways.
Yeah. I would have to assume.
Okay, so November Rain's feet have to be touching the ground. Like, he couldn't spawn November Rain upside down and shoot Rain up. We all agree upon that. That would be silly.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. It's a weird moment because it's like Araki is... He operates in this quantum superposition between that was planned and means something versus that means nothing. He's just playing fast and loose with it like he always does.
Yeah, we'll come back in like 20 more chapters and we'll see that like he has omnidirectional range shooting. He can climb up walls with it. He can do whatever.
Right.
And there will be no explanation as to why he can do that. Also, apparently the rain is just quote unquote gravity.
Huh.
The most dangerous stand user in JoJo.
Yeah, exactly. From the official like
the sheer gravity of this rain would snap any man's spine in a moment.
It is the most pain you can inflict on the human body.
The skin is the largest organ on the human body, and as such, there's no way to guard against everything at once.
There's no way to guard against gravity, Baki.
You can fight nature, but you can't fight gravity.
Not even I have mastered it yet.
I can levitate, but only a little.
I learned from Chris Angel, the most dangerous magician of them all.
Chris Angel, master of the art of standing on one foot a little bit.
Have you ever heard of Mind Freak, Baki?
I consider myself something of a mind freak.
He kind of is something, yeah. Yujiro Hama, the Mind Freak, is a bit of an understatement.
This is such a good podcast. I can't believe we got Yujiro Hanma, the strongest man in the world, on the show.
Two different Yujiro Hanmas on the podcast.
Hang on a second. I gotta stop screen sharing and get us back to the chapter we're supposed to be looking at.
And they're both fans of Chris Angel. Who would have thunk?
All right. Does somebody want to read the dialogue on this page and just kind of move us on? Because I don't read everything word for word, but as I go through the pages, I sort of say a couple of lines out loud so we can move on.
Are we on the Raising Cane's page?
Yeah, we're on the Raising Cane's page. We've still got 2 hours until our flight boards. Let's not go to the airport until we have to.
Yeah.
And then
Usagi's
Usagi...
still calling Dragona Pink Chan for some reason, even though they're not wearing anything pink.
Because it's a Reservoir Dogs reference.
Is it really?
Yeah, Mr. Pink, Mr. Blue, Mr. Blonde, Mr. Brown, Mr. Orange, and Mr. White. Did I get it right?
Interesting. I don't know. I've never seen that.
I always say Mr. Black, even though the guy in the movie specifically says, I'm assigning the colors, because if I let you guys pick, I'll have 5 guys arguing over who gets to be Mr. Black. Anyway.
Yeah, but Mr. Black's the coolest.
Dude, he assigns Mr. Pink to Steve Buscemi, and Steve Buscemi is like, why do I gotta be Mr. Pink? And he says, because you're a faggot! I don't know! It's incredible. Like, he skips all the red tape, and he just goes straight to it. Like, we're not gonna dance around this thing where why don't you like pink? We're not gonna do that. It's because you're gay, alright? Shut up.
Come on now. We all know why.
It's incredible. It's a great line. So she doesn't want to be Pink Chan.
They don't want to be Pink Chan.
The rental car. Is that thing insured? We paid $30 a person, right? You're the one that dented it. It's fine. There's nothing to worry about.
Okay, you say dented, but like that thing was totaled.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucked up looking.
He only hit it a little bit against the tree. It's fine.
Well, the front is pretty fucked. Like that headlight is broken. The bumper and the hood are dented.
I do want to take this time just to say I love Usagi so much. The moment that like solidified it for me wasn't even like the hot dog stuff. Like I was already day one Usagi fan, but the moment I loved him was at the very start of the fight with the cats, where they're like, "Oh my god, Usagi, what are we gonna do?" And they turn around and he's gone in like 2 seconds, and the car is already driving off. That was my favorite moment from that fight. I would have been equally as happy if he never came back than if he actually came back and saved the day.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Because then
that is the most like survival self-preservation instinct I've ever seen a JoJo companion have?
Well,
period.
It's Mr. Pink taking the bag with the diamonds and running.
Yeah, that's a Reservoir Dogs reference, man.
He got out of Dodge as soon as it went south, and I love that so much.
You know what's crazy is that it's like it was foreshadowed almost by, you remember when they first encountered the cats, and Paco is like, this is some sort of new security system. And Usagi has a line that's like, what are you guys, fucking stupid? This is a stand attack. Don't you know anything?
It's literally a stand attack.
This is literally a stand attack.
He feels like, to me, Usagi feels like the inverse of Okuyasu, where Okuyasu had a really overpowered stand, but he was a complete dipshit and didn't know how to use it. Usagi is super duper smart, but he has, like, objectively a terrible stand for any given combat situation, because he can't use it.
The best he can do is assist somebody else.
Yeah, the best he can do is say, okay, now wish for something, and then the Mate Kudasai will make it.
And it's like, him
and
being
because
so
nobody
quick,
was listening to him, he's just like, okay, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands, BRB.
Him being so quick to be like, what are you guys, stupid? This is a sand attack. How come you don't get it? Like, that made me have the idea that if he truly was savvy like that, he would totally run away from the cats and just go back to Meryl Makey with the diamond and be like, yeah, 3 of us died, sorry, but here's the money. Can I get all the cut?
But he still made the time to save everyone.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be
the hero.
It would have been within character for him to go,
though. It's too early in the story for like a big betrayal. Like Rohan just floated the idea like one arc ago.
It had to be a fake out.
Even that, I was gonna say, even that I could equate to Rohan just trying to fuck with Jodio. Just trying to get in his head a little bit. Just I wouldn't trust them if I were you. Come on now.
I don't know that he's, like, messing with him like that. I think he has a weird, begrudging respect for Jodio. Because Rohan is, like, the ultimate steadfast... They don't call it the Spoke Kishibe Rohan in Japan. They call it Kishibe Rohan does not move. He's unmoving. He's like steadfast and resolute.
He's
and
unbreakable.
He's unbreakable. He's gonna do his Rohan thing.
Rohan is unmovable.
He's gonna do his Rohan thing no matter what the fuck you do or you think you have him cornered. He's gonna hit you with the Daga Kotoaru. And he does it to Jodio. He says, I refuse.
He says the funny line.
And Jodio defeats his refusal. I did not think that was going to happen.
I didn't know that was possible, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a law of nature. When Rohan refuses, he refuses. He stabbed himself in the hand and burned his house down to spite Josuke.
Just to prove a point.
Just to prove a point. So this is like an unmovable guy, and Jodio managed to move him. So I think Rohan has a weird begrudging respect for him. I think he's like, you know what? There's something to this kid. Maybe I should let him have the lava rock for a little while. I'll get it back someday.
There's something about him that I don't hate, which is weird because he's very clearly a JoJo.
Well, he doesn't know any of those. Everyone. You know, like he never met Josuke. I
hate everyone almost equally.
This is a Rohan who never met Josuke, who never helped them pursue Kira, who never had any of those adventures. Did he even know Arami Sugimoto?
We really can't say that for sure because it's just Rohan. Like, he's not even beating around the bush of it being, like, alternate universe version of Rohan. It is just Rohan Kishibe down to the design.
That be true, young boss. That be true.
I don't know.
It's really weird because, like, we've seen, like, how Araki does, like, the counterpart characters, where, like, Jonathan and fucking Dio and Kira are all completely different.
Yeah. They're the same named characters, barring Diego Brando, but like Joseph Joestar is the same character, completely different though. Same name, completely different character. And I love the bit where he holds up the clackers in the car and he's like,
To me, that was an all-time moment of Araki refusing to submit to the narrative that he forgets about things. He was like, fuck you, I didn't forget about the clackers. The clackers are dumb.
They're just stupid, yeah, exactly. And he's like, oh, these things are dumb. I'm just going to punch it instead.
I don't know that there's any way that we could possibly get confirmation on what he was thinking when he brought the clackers back for that one moment where they're immediately dismissed.
I think in my heart of hearts, just a gag. Yeah.
I really think that the Araki forgot thing actually made its way to
Joseph
him, and this is him refuting
once, it didn't work, and then he learned a style that he wouldn't need the clackers with.
Right. He didn't use the clackers again. Because, actually, he literally did use the clackers again against Wired Beck, and Wired Beck slashes them in half, and he's like, aw, man.
Oh, man, I love my clackers.
I forgot about that.
He used them for 1 second.
Wired Beck fight.
Yeah. But also, like, he's grown so much, he doesn't need the fucking clackers anymore. So I think the Iraqi forgot thing actually made its way all the way to him, and he understood that that's a running gag about him, that people think he forgets things. And this is him being like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. That's my reading of it, however wishful that reading may be.
Right.
Anyways, the rental car... He says, the trouble is, I'm the type of guy who uses everything at his disposal. I don't know what the fuck that means.
He's got to use it all on the, he's the guy that, when he's got it, but when he doesn't, he doesn't, I've met guys like that.
So, Usagi says, I'll use everything at my disposal, so yeah, I'm flat broke until the job's over. I used all the money I had left on hamburgers. I don't like the hamburgers thing. When did you have time to do that? I don't know. Who cares?
That was really the most JoJo
and not in a good way
fight ever. Yeah, I mixed the $400 caviar with the hamburgers to defeat the kitty cats. It's a little bit silly.
It's the logical endpoint of characters having a conversation in midair, really.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
I suppose so. And then we get a little bit of Usagi backstory. Is your family poor? My mom has money. My dad got hit by a bus and died, but my mom has the insurance money, and she's not giving me any.
That's such an interesting line to me, because the first time I read it, I thought back to Dubiwa's user from JoJolion, who Tsurugi kills by making him think that a bus is Jobin. And he gets run over, but that guy worked airport security and was also in Japan at the time. So I don't know if this is just a coincidence or like a throwaway line that his dad got hit by a bus and died. Because he doesn't specify when or where he got hit by a bus, but I don't know. It could be nothing.
I'm not even sure this is legit. This was probably just like a sob story.
Yeah.
Hey, just loan me $20.
Yeah, just give me the money. I have a plan. We're going to do an experiment to see how the lava rock works.
Okay, good. I got a text back. He said, yeah, lol, sorry, man. Thank God. Oh. Thank God. Also, I just realized we've been having so much fun. We got like 30 chapters, and I only have like 20 minutes left to discuss them. So we might have to hit pause on this and then like do another hour, another day, another time. I've got work from 5 p.m. until midnight, so I don't think we'll be able to...
And then we'll make one big super podcast cut.
I suppose so. Is that all right with you guys? We'll do as much as we can now, and then we'll cut it and we'll pick up later.
6 pages into 37.
But we're having so much fun. I don't want to speed through the rest.
Yeah, that would work for me. No, that'd be totally fine. I had enough fun just doing this.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll get through as much as we can right now, and then I have to go get ready and go to work in a minute. But yeah.
Yeah.
So this little experiment with the rock and the money, I think this is interesting. But this moment here, really neat. Whose hand puts down the rock?
It looks like, I would assume, Jodio, because he's the one that's been holding it, and he's got like the little, you can see the dent.
They both have that glove, though.
Meets. Oh, you're right. They do.
Well, actually, no, Usagi's ends at his wrist. It doesn't go up onto his hand. Well, it kind of looks like it does in this one panel. I don't know. So did Jodio put the rock down, or is he reaching for it? Because he says, Jodio, don't stand up. Sit down. Go back down. Let's take it easy here. Like, what was that? Was he about to go grab it and run away with it? Does he not trust Usagi?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Also, the Jobin bus thing, just before we get too far away from that is not going to work at all in animation. It only works when there's still frames. Because in animation, it's going to need to be Jobin power walking towards him at 30 miles an hour. Like, that's not going to look like Jobin at all. You wouldn't fall for that in animation. You would only fall for that in manga.
I just kind of realized that, wait a minute.
It's going to be, because it hits him fast enough to make him explode into rocks. So it's not a bus that's creeping by at 1 mile per hour.
Also, what a foolish bus driver.
Things actually look fast. Like approaching objects look faster from the side than like from head on. So like they could make that work if like you shot it from the fucking Dubiwa's perspective.
Right, and it just looked like Jobin walking towards him really fast. They should add a line
where he says, "Oh, Jobin looks like he's in a hurry. It's probably something important."
Yeah, I mean, I could see them doing something like that. Because it's just like it works in the manga, and you don't really think about it, but you put that in motion, and it's going to look very silly.
going to look very awesome.
It's going to look great.
Hey, first we have to get through how silly the horses in Part 7 are going to look.
Oh, Christ, please no.
I've resigned myself to that. Also, there's an entire fight that takes place on a train. We have to resign ourselves to that.
Here's the thing,
on a train, around a train, in a train, under a train.
With the CG horses, so long as they get painted over enough times, like when we see them close up, you know what I mean? Just draw over them.
You might as well just use the models from the games.
Yeah, dude, I mean, those horses look fine. They move like horses should. That's totally fine with me. Just like when we see them up close and our characters are drawn, I don't want the horses to be CG also and for there to be an obvious disconnect. Like, would you please just paint over them for those shots? I don't care if our characters are in the distance or if the horses aren't really in frame. CG those fucking horses. That's fine. But just when you get like a glory shot of the characters on their horses, I don't want it to look like shit.
If they don't have to shoot them moving, then they're not going to be CG.
No, of course. But 90% of Steel Ball Run is a horse race and the horses are moving.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it's a tall order. It's a tall order.
It is a tall order, but if anyone can do it, it's probably David Productions.
Those guys are soldiers. They're soldiers. I was going to say sailors, but then I changed it to soldiers.
Soldiers can be sailors, and sailors can also be soldiers, I suppose.
A family can just be 4 dads and no kids.
It is true.
All right, so Usagi's little money experiment. So Jojo's got the diamond. It originally belonged to the mangaka. These guys are trying to suss out, like, what is the exact mechanism of this? Does it just steal Rohan's things? Or does it steal things that it has physically touched? Like, how does it tell what's worth money and what isn't? So they're doing a little experiment, which I think is interesting. It's pretty cool. And I like this little panel where he's like, we're on the same wavelength. Do you think we could become good friends? And he's like, I'm good on friends, dude.
No, I got plenty, yeah.
Which sucks because I feel like he's definitely not good on friends. He seems like he gets by, you know, he sells his little drugs, he plays his little Nintendo Switch, he has his sister, but he doesn't seem like somebody who's well liked.
Talking to anyone, yeah.
He does, like, sure, he's hot, and the ladies are like, oh, da da da, and they'll tease this cute kid and flirt with him, but I don't think he has a ton of friends.
The closest thing we've got to him being social is in the first chapter where he's like hyping himself up and he's like, I get all the ladies, and he's like they're posed up with more bikini babes. It's just like that one little panel.
Meanwhile, I'm like this.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like this. Yeah,
and sometimes like this. Yeah. Oh, it's incredible.
That's such a good moment. JoJo endeared himself to me very early on.
Dude, he was immediately just baller as hell. I was like, okay, this is going to be great.
That guy's a nerd. He's like that. Meanwhile, I'm like this.
We've never had a JoJo character as our main character before. We've never had a main protagonist who, like, cares about having swag before. Never, ever had that.
The Virgin Giorno versus the Chad Jodio.
Oh, God. A little bit, huh? He's already much more interesting than Giorno.
There's stuff I like about Giorno, but he's like a much subtler character and you have to look harder for it. Jodio is like explosive and fun.
Everything I like about Giorno is related to the fact that he's Dio's kid, and they never go anywhere with that.
Well, I mean,
they kind
of go somewhere with that in Part 6, but they don't do it about Giorno.
So, like, what you notice is like Araki will alternate between like what I would call red and blue protagonists, where like you know the red protagonists have like this, you know, fiery, passionate energy. So like your fucking like Josuke Part 4,
Josephs,
your Josephs, and your blue protagonists are like your Jotaros and your Giornos, right?
The asshole with a heart of gold, yeah.
Jodio is like red Giorno, basically.
I could see
That's a fair. You know what I think is really interesting and also super funny about Jodio?
What?
So we're believing him to be the Giorno equivalent of the new universe, right?
That's kind of how we're regarding him.
He's got Dio in his name.
That's got to mean something.
It's got to mean something, but we can't know for sure because his stand can't punch things. We don't know if he has the genetic aura, or the genetic muda flowing through his veins.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man. He's a water-type Pokemon, just like Josuke 8.
Ooh.
Josuke 8 bubbles. Jodio, Rain.
Bubbles, and now we have Rain.
They're both water-type
gravity
Pokemon.
things. Yeah.
I will say that. I feel like they're spiritually connected in some way, even if not literally descended from the same branch of the Joestar family tree.
Yeah, that seems to be
types.
the trend now. Like, they're only tangentially related to the Joestar family.
Well, you know, Josuke was a direct descendant of Jonathan, but it was like, you know, it was through the Holly line. It was exactly the way that Jotaro was a descendant of Jonathan. But it was a thing where it was like the Joestar family is the Higashikata family now, you know, like Holly, Joestar, Kira, sure, but the Joestars seemed like...
Because Johnny married into the Higashikatas, did he not?
Yeah, he did. But it just seemed like... How am I trying to say this? What am I trying to do? It seemed like the Joestar family tree, unlike in... or at the very beginning of Part 7, you know, like the Joestars are like this family of horse people, you know?
Horse jockeys,
They're jockeys, yeah. And then there seems to be a sort of like, yes, the Joestar family. They're noble and powerful, and they've got money, and people know the Joestars. In JoJolion, it doesn't seem like that continued. Like, they just became somebodies, you know? They're just, like, forgotten randos. Like, the lineage, because it became this Higashikata thing, you know, he married into that. I don't know, man. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like, the focus was on the Higashikatas rather than on the Joestars.
It's not about the bloodline anymore. It's about the characters. It's about what they do with...
Yes, thank you. I just said all of those words to try and make the point that the bloodline itself seems less important these days.
It's not as important. Yeah, because that's the whole part about the Prime Universe in general, was breaking the Joestar curse, and that's what Jolene succeeded in doing. Hence why we're not in that universe anymore, because there's nothing left to tell. The Joestar family finally gets to live in peace, and then we get to reset, and now it's a different overarching theme. As to what that is, I don't know, you know, bonds over blood or whatever. Whatever we're breaking now, whatever curse we're breaking, remains to be seen until, like, the end, and then we can compare and contrast.
You know, because we're talking about bloodlines so much, I feel like we have to show you a video. I feel like we have to show you... Oh, wait. You're a fan of this guy as well. Have you seen Aeon Star's video about Jodio and his parentage?
I have not, actually.
Okay, so it's almost 4:30.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
It's almost 4:30, so I really have to, like, go get ready for work and get out of here.
Gotcha.
So I think
we'll make our supercut.
We should stop the recording now, and we're going to go watch this little video. Or actually, I'll just watch it while the recording is still going. This will be the bookend for part 1. We've seen this on the podcast before, but I don't care. It's very short and it's very good. So we'll watch this, and then that'll be the end of part 1. We're
about to steal content from Aeon Star for the second time.
Dude, fuck him. Literally, fuck him. I'm going to steal again.
Fuck Aeon Star. Everyone unsubscribe from Aeon Star. Don't. That was a joke.
Dude, literally...
Unsubscribe from Aeon Star, and then subscribe to Viva Reverie.
Resubscribe to us.
Dude, literally... Locacacast really steals. No dignity. Alright, you guys ready?
It's not stealing, it's an equivalent exchange.
What are we giving him in return?
Views.
Great, yeah.
Money.
Hang on 1 second.
One additional view, we receive content.
Hang on 1 second. I'm just trying to figure out a way that the audience can view this too. Yeah, there we go.
We've received content.
Alright guys, are you ready?
Offer. I'm ready. I was born ready.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. You ready? The truth of Jodio's lineage.
One of the biggest mysteries left by the first chapter of the JoJoLands was the nature of Jodio Joestar's lineage. While we know that his mother is Barbara Ann Joestar, sister of Holly Joestar Kira, and hitherto unknown child of Joseph Joestar of the new continuity, the nature of Jodio's paternal side has been left pretty much entirely vague, based on his name, Jodio, and his shared circumstances with Giorno Giovanna of the original continuity. Many have speculated that Jodio is a descendant of Diego from Steel Ball Run, which I believe to be a reasonable stance to take. But, given the large gap in time between Steel Ball Run and the JoJoLands, as well as the new continuity incarnation of Dio lacking any vampiric nature that would allow him to survive the necessary length of time in order to become involved with Barbara Ann, it's more likely that Jodio's father is not Diego, but rather, Diego is his grandfather or great-grandfather. So the question of who exactly Diego had a child with is much less clear. Many presume that it must have been Hot Pants, but the timeline required for this simply does not pan out. There is, however, an alternative scenario worth considering. He fucked the horse! He fucked the horse, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes!
Now,
Silver
I
bullet.
understand this is a bold claim to make, but stick with me, and I think you'll come to find that the evidence pointing towards this being the case is insurmountable. First and foremost is the lineage of Diego's horse, Silver Bullet. Now, for the duration of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, ever since Stardust Crusaders, members of the Joestar lineage have been equipped with a distinct birthmark denoting themselves as being a member of the bloodline. This mark has remained exclusive to those who are directly descended from a Joestar. Ignore that, ignore that, ignore that, ignore that. You've seen another character with the same birthmark. That's right, Diego's horse, Silver Bullet. More like Silver Bullet Joestar. There's more. Now, how did a horse become a member of the Joestar lineage, which is composed of humans? Well, I think the actual question we should be asking is, how did humans become members of the Joestar lineage, which have, in all likelihood, up until now been entirely composed of horses? Therianthropy, that being the shape-shifting of animals into humans, is a common feature of most folklore. And, as we know from the Thus Spoke Rohan Kishibe series, in the universe of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, all forms of mythic belief are real. Most likely, the Joestar family we know of are descendants of horses that shed their animal form in order to become human. This explains the Joestar family's natural equitation abilities. Moreover, horses, of course, have an affinity with water, being descendants of the sea god Poseidon, which explains why Gappy and Jodio are both water-themed. Now, you may be thinking, wouldn't this mean that Jodio has Joestar ancestry on both sides of his family? Isn't that kind of messed up? And yes, that is the most messed up implication from all this. But you would be wrong. Because Joseph Joestar only had one child. See, it says it right there. Therefore, Barbara Ann Joestar is, in all likelihood, not related to the Joestars by blood. And Jodion Dragona's Joestar lineage comes exclusively from their father's side of the family. Now, you may be asking yourself, if Jodio is part horse, then why does he not resemble a horse very much? Surely his horse side would be more visibly apparent. But first off, it's important to remember that he's most likely only 1/4 horse, at most, not full-blooded horse. So his horse traits likely wouldn't be as prominent as his human traits. Hell, we've seen full-blooded horse characters like Whole Horse that still very much resemble him, so this isn't that far-fetched. But make no mistake, Jodio does have visible horse traits. Where, you might ask? Right here. He has a ponytail. The first Ultra Jump cover to feature the JoJoLands even goes so far as to give Jodio a majestic silver mane in honor of his grandmother, Silver Bullet. There's more. We don't actually know for sure where the original Silver Bullet was left following Diego's death. What we do know is that they were last seen a scant distance away from the Delaware River on the Philadelphia coastline, less than a few hours away from Atlantic City, which is exactly where the Joestar family had come to be situated from the beginning of World War II onwards. The horse is also only 4 years old, which would make Diego a pedophile, but hey, what else is new? The main issue that arises is the question of how. I mean, this isn't Greek mythology we're dealing with here. This is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a story driven entirely by facts and logic. And it's a fact that horses and humans
Does he turn the horse into a dinosaur and fuck it?
Under normal circumstances. Because do you know two entities that are, in fact, capable of procreation? That's
Dinosaurs.
Right. Dinosaurs and other dinosaurs. You know where this is going. On those lonely nights out on the American countryside, isolated from civilization for weeks at a time, Diego Brando was brought to desperation. He needed something, someone, to satiate his unending hunger. He looks to his soul companion and speaks a fair few words beneath his breath.
No.
Scary monsters.
Oh, no,
But the scariest monster may very well be Diego himself.
Look, sir, if you would just please take a look at my proposal, okay? Because I think you'll find it persuasive.
I don't want it.
Just look at it, sir. Just look. What do you see?
A man fucking a horse.
And there it is.
Oh, the craziest part is that's not even out of character for Dio.
No, not in the slightest.
Dio. He made like a bunch of weird abominations. That was his favorite. That was his favorite thing to do.
And Jodio is just the next in a long line of weird abominations.
It's the next logical evolution of Dio's favorite pastime.
All right, boys. I think we're gonna have to cut part one there.
That's where we'll leave you. To be
That's where
continued,
we'll
viewers.
To be continued. Boom, boom,
Doom,
boom.
doom, 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 doom,
It
boom.
was all one big JoJo reference after all.
And we're back.
And we're back.
And we are
Welcome back to the Yujiro Hamacast.
Hashtag we are so back.
I forgot all about the Yujiro thing. All right,
Oh.
okay.
Good bit.
So they're testing out the capabilities of the goddamn rock. They're doing some rock science. They're doing some Mythbusters right now. They're doing some science
weird
experiments.
Science,
Yeah, weird science. They're doing some Bill Nye the Science Guy type shit. He has a hypothesis, and we're testing it.
And what I like about this in particular is that we don't usually get to see the JoJo gang experiment with their magic MacGuffins. There's
Right.
usually the mentor type character, like your Lisa Lisa or your Zeppeli or your what have you. They'll be like, oh, this is how Hormone works. This is how the red stone works. This is how the stand arrow works, etc., etc.
Well, normally, like they'll break down like a new facet of like the Haman ability or like something new that a stand can do in the middle of the battle. Like,
Right, exactly.
but it's good that they're doing this now because like for the last few arcs, the lava rock has had very vaguely defined abilities. So now
And I
we're
like
getting to
that
see
they're
like,
the ones exploring it, and we literally had, because we were talking about subversions already within JoJoLands compared to even JoJolion and parts prior. We already had a bit where Jodio was like, okay, so you're letting me take the lava rock, what does it do? And Rohan literally says, no, I'm not telling you that. You should be grateful that I'm letting you keep it. You dealt the cards, you figure out how they work. And I thought that was a very interesting twist on the whole JoJo mentor take.
You know what I was just thinking about? A lot of times, characters, when they have a sort of like weird MacGuffin that they gotta figure out the properties of, JoJo is a little bit lazy with like how they learn the information. Like a lot of times, in earlier parts, characters will guess correct information and just be
That's
right.
what I mean. Yeah, like going back to comparing Jodio to Giorno, Giorno just knows everything right off the bat.
He's
He
just
doesn't
guessing
need
correct
anyone.
information all the time.
Yeah, or he'll just say, oh, I remember reading about this type of mushroom. I know how to defeat Chocolata. It'll take me like 2 seconds, and then it does.
That's so funny. It's just like, yes, no, I know the perfect counter hold to this hold. If I just put my arm here and...
Exactly. Yeah. Giorno was like, oh, I know. I'll just make an antidote by turning this brick into a snake that was born in the purple haze smoke so that I can have the snake bite me, and then it'll counteract the poison that's already in me.
Well, let's not pretend that hasn't been happening like even in like as late as JoJolion.
Oh,
with,
no,
like,
of course not.
fucking with Jobin making oxygen from sodium chlorate.
Jobin
Right.
did that. He fucking made oxygen manually on the fly. But he couldn't cauterize his own chest wound.
We're gonna save that for the 5-hour JoJolion shit show.
We're gonna have to save that. And one more thing before we get too far away from Giorno making the snake.
The brick snake.
Yeah, the brick snake.
Yeah.
You know, that thing people always used to say, not actually true, but that thing people always used to say, like, Fugo was written out because Araki couldn't figure out a way for the protagonists to fight his stand, you know, because he was going to turn traitor.
He was going to be the traitor.
Araki was actually just sad, and he was like, I don't want to draw that. That's too sad. I'm not drawing that. They'd have to kill Fugo.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
Depressing as 90% of Part 5 already is, I don't think we needed that bit included.
It wasn't because the stand was overpowered, but that's something that people said a lot, because it's an interesting thing to think about. How the fuck do you have our protagonists fight and defeat Purple Haze? My idea was always that Giorno makes everyone a rock snake bracelet. He makes like 6 rock snakes, and then he like give one to each person, and the snake has its teeth like in you and the tail wrapped around you, and it's like constantly giving you the venom so you can survive the purple haze smoke. That was my idea. Snake bracelets.
That idea reminds me of like the Jumping Jack Flash fight where like Weather made the
little bit,
suits.
Right. He's like, here, I'm gonna use my stand to make us all a thing that'll make us prepared for this fight. I thought
For
that
this
would be
fight,
cool. Snake
exactly.
bracelets. That was my
Snake
idea.
bracelets would have been kind of neat. I wonder now if we're going to get like
Because you would have
the
one
remix of
character
that.
walking in with the snake bracelet, Fugo does some fuck shit and manages to launch a capsule where the rest of them are standing, and then they all walk out of the smoke and he's like, oh no, they've all got snakes on their arms.
Oh no, my one thing that the stand does has been countered.
So now Purple
But
Haze
the
just has to
problem is-
fly into a berserker rage and just win on
The-
strength.
The problem
Yeah.
is then how do you keep basically seesawing the tension of that fight?
Right.
I was
Well,
gonna
I
say,
know-
as soon as
I
you
have an
get the
idea.
snake bracelet, you kind of defeat Purple Haze is the whole thing.
Well, I think Purple Haze is going to have to advance in some way. Maybe not gain a new ability, but he's going to have to figure out. Fugo's going to have to dig deep and really find something that he can do
antitoxin.
with his stand. Because, you know, he's got his cheap insta-kill move is now, like, locked off. So he's going to
Right.
have to win some other way. But I know there's got to be an ebb and flow of the tension. I'm just saying it's going to feel like Fugo is winning, and then this is going to be a big tension-shifting moment where the
And
characters
then
all
everyone
walk out
pulls
with the
up their
snake bracelets.
sleeve to reveal, yeah, they pull up their sleeve to reveal the snake bracelet. And he's like, oh no, I've been had.
Anyway, snake bracelets. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Rock animal snake bracelet.
No, it's a good starter.
Rock
It's
Dust
just,
Light Star,
you know,
the Jamiroquai
Yeah.
album.
Exactly.
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 Exactly. Anyway, they're doing a fucking experiment. Jodio is like, maybe it's if they're touching. Next page. No, that
If
was
it
the
touches
previous
the
page.
lava
Oops.
rock.
I accidentally went to the wrong page. Makes something touch the lava rock. Maybe the lava rock remembers the owner. So you put it on top of the 20, crumples up the 20, throws it away. Dragona's like, what the fuck are you doing? Guy picks it up, goes to buy
That
his
was my
food.
$20. No, what the fuck?
I mean, these kids are about to be millionaires, and they're really throwing a fit over $20.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dragona loses track of the guy. Dragona is strangling Usagi.
He's like, wait, what? I thought it would work. I swear to God, I thought it would work.
And then
I like
Paco
how
returns
this-
the drinks.
I like how this scene contrives it so that it's not just that like they get $20 back. It's the exact
It is
$20
the exact
bill.
same $20 because he wrote the he drew his little insignia on it, his the Mate
little-
Kurusa symbol.
You know what's weird though is that it's like legs with high heels, and sometimes they have fishnet stockings on, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they're right side up, and sometimes they're upside down.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if that's his symbol. Why isn't his name like Hot Pants or Hot Legs or something? You know what I mean? What's that got to
weird
do
thing-
with anything?
The weird thing about Usagi is that remember in all the promotional material before we even knew it was called, well, we knew it was called the JoJoLands, but before we knew any of the named characters, even Jodio, it was always like vague, obscured shots of Jodio's face, and there was always a rabbit with him. And
Right.
Usagi is Japanese for rabbit. So I'm like, why is he more significant than we're even letting on, or what was that? Or is it because
Dude,
this isn't the year?
that'd
Is this
be-
the year?
that-
Are we in the year of a rabbit? We're not.
It,
though.
I think,
Art-
was a New Year's illustration. Like he did Josuke 8 with that
Ah.
monkey. I do think it was.
Okay.
Let me look this
Then
up.
that might be. Then that might have been it. Then
JoJoLands.
maybe. But then again, that's still a.
But
weird
that is
coincidence.
interesting. That's like, why?
It is a weird coincidence to me.
Yeah,
'cause-
2023 is the year of the rabbit. But why,
Okay, it
if
is the
that
year of the
rabbit
rabbit, cool.
isn't significant, why Usagi? Why Usagi Aloha
Yeah.
Oi?
Why not? Yeah, exactly. Like Aloha, sure, Hawaiian, etc. But why Usagi specifically? Why rabbit? Rabbit Aloha Oi.
This is so dumb. Look at this image. Oh, can I not do this? I can't post it. How do I do this?
There it is.
Yeah. Holy
Oh,
shit,
holy
Jojo Rabbit.
It's
Yeah, exactly,
the
like-
JoJo rabbit.
There's multiple images of a rabbit being significant. There's the other one.
Somebody get
I'm
Taika
thinking of
Waititi on the
where-
phone.
We never got the JoJo Lion, but they gave us the JoJo Rabbit.
They gave us the Jojo Rabbit. It is true.
Oh my
also,
god.
wasn't the name JoJolion just because Araki thought it sounded interesting?
It's like
Well, it's because
Pygmalion and Evangelion. Like the Leon is supposed to be like a blessed thing.
Right.
It's supposed to have a sort of religious context. But it is just smashing
And-
stuff together.
Yeah, this, at least the JoJoLands, I think, has more intent behind the name, much like Steel Ball Run being the titular race of Part 7. I feel like JoJoLands definitely implies we're going to multiple locations, if not just all the islands of Hawaii.
I really want us to
It
be
is a
traveling
very
for
weird-
this part.
It is a very weird direction to take the part names in, though, because like before this, each like we discussed it before, but like in the original universe, each part name, starting with part 3, had like a piece of like the main character's stand name.
Of the stand, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, did you guys
and
know
then-
these parts weren't named that at the time? They all got retroactively named around the time of not Phantom Blood, of Stone Ocean. Like, Phantom Blood wasn't called that at the time. It was called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1, Jonathan Joestar, His Youth. And then it was Joseph Joestar, His Legacy, and then Jotaro Kujo, Heritage for the Future, which is where the fighting name comes from.
That's where that title comes from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Araki also... Is this the meme, or is it real that he wanted Part 4 to be called Diamond is Not Crash?
I think that's just a bad translation of.
Oh, I love that translation. Is that the Duong translation?
No, that's something different.
I think it's Duang adjacent, but I don't think they say that in there.
I love Diamond is Not Crash.
Diamond, no equals sign, Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so Paco saw... Wait, before we get too far away from the JoJo Rabbit and the JoJo Lion, there's a part in JoJo, in JoJolion, I think it's like chapter 105 or 6 or 7 or something, and it's the one where we get the backstory on Toru, that he was like a bee.
Yeah, that he was born in the beehive or whatever, the wasp's
and
nest.
they illustrate a bunch of stuff on this page to give you an example of like types of life on Earth, and there's like a woman in a bathing suit, and there is a tiger, I'm pretty sure, on the page.
Yeah.
And so we got there. This is such a funny moment in Locacacast history. We got there on the podcast, and I was like, well, Chris, it took us 105 chapters, but we finally got it. There it is. The JoJo Lion. Long beat of science. Chris says, that's a tiger. And I go, fuck!
Fuck! Shit! God damn it!
I really wanted to take
Damn
a
you,
JoJo Lion.
Araki! Shaking my fist at the sky.
It would have cost him nothing different to draw a lion there instead of a tiger.
I did... Speaking of that chapter specifically, people have also pointed out that the bikini babe he draws looks oddly similar to, I think, the DA officer from the first chapter of the JoJoLands.
Yeah, I can totally see that. But also,
yeah.
I mean, how many bikini babes does he even know how to draw?
I mean, that's fair.
Well, it's not that he doesn't know how to draw, but it's like, did he... I don't know, man.
Are we giving him too much credit?
Right,
Are we
Flashback
thinking too
Man
far
has
ahead?
burnt me forever. Like, let's not take every little tiny thing Araki does as something that means something.
This isn't One Piece. We can't expect foreshadowing.
The Araki same face problem has long been established.
Yeah. Well, he fights it and he gets around it, but he often still succumbs to it.
Yeah, everyone, suffers same face syndrome from time to time, but I will say I'm digging the expressions of the JoJoLands already. I think maybe I'd have to go back, but I feel like this is some of his strongest expression work. Even within this chapter alone, I love the variety of expressions you see the cast get to make, because it's not just we are making the same dead stoic face all the time we're in our big series mode. Like, we actually get to see them goof around a little bit, and like the scene we just read where Dragona is strangling Usagi and he's like, I thought it would work.
Yeah, look at Usagi's face while he's being strangled. Like, that doesn't cost that many pencil strokes, but the emotion is perfectly conveyed. Like, Araki's good at this. And look how Jodio's chin is sort of rounded. He's a bit younger. He has a more round chin and cheek face. And then you go down and you look at Paco. Paco's so square. And he's got the little weird makeup things on his face. I feel like we're not succumbing to same face right now.
Paco looks like Axl Rowe from Part 7 with the face makeup. He
definitely does.
And I'm wondering just how much of this is intentional or how much is just Rocky liking some of his own, getting a little high on his own supply of, I like this design element. I want to use it on a lasting party member, not just a one-off
Right.
thing.
Because you've seen him do that before. He'll do something as a one-off, and then in the next part, he's like, "Oh no, I want to like keep that around. Like that was awesome."
Yeah,
actually.
you know, I actually kind of liked that a lot.
For example, in a stand mechanics sense, he had cream, vanilla ice cream, and then in the next part, you have Okuyasu using a version of that power, but as a good guy. It's like, oh, that was a neat idea. Let me keep that around, actually.
Hey, I have a stand that redirects bullets. I'm gonna do that like 5 more times.
That reminds me of
that idea a lot. I like stands
does.
that shoot things.
He does have. Wait, is it like there's a gun stand in every part, isn't there?
Pretty much. You have the Emperor. You have
Bad Company.
Bad Company. You have Sticky Fingers. You have Manhattan Transfer and Foo Fighters.
Well, it wasn't.
Wow.
It wasn't. No, not Sticky Fingers. Sex Pistols in part 5.
Sex Pistols. Yes, my mistake.
And then in part 7, everyone's got a
You
gun.
everyone
Plus
has a
Johnny
gun, and
has
then-
gun
plus
bullet
Johnny-
nails.
Literal finger gun. Yeah.
Pew, pew.
Let's see. Who did we have?
There's 2 in part 6. There's Manhattan Transfer and Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
And there's a third. There's a third in part 6 actually.
Oh wait, what was that?
It's when Whitesnake grabs the officer's gun.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And he aims it at the bird. What the
Savage Garden.
Savage Garden? Thank you. I only had garden. I couldn't think of the first
And
word.
as is the tradition for gun-based stands, he misses.
He misses horribly. He unloads the whole clip and misses the bird. Savage Garden was the strongest animal in all of JoJo.
Are there any gun stands in part 8? I mean, like, Josuke eventually learns to shoot his bullets. Just shoot his bubbles like bullets.
Shoot the bullet bubbles, but I don't think there's
that's
actually
probably
any
the closest.
bullet redirection
Yeah.
/ just gun stand. Yeah.
Also, can I just say, like, on paper, if you were to tell me, without me reading how it happens, if you were to come back from the future to, like, me reading chapter 91 or something, and you were to tell me, yo, before the end of JoJolion, Josuke is going to realize he's actually been using the spin the whole time, and he's going to start spinning the bubbles on the end of his fingers, using the same posture that Johnny Joestar would do to shoot his nail bullets, and his bullets are going to get so much more powerful, and it's going to be awesome.
Aren't even actually bubbles. They're a string that's spinning so fast it looks like a solid bubble. And I'm not going to give you any further explanation as to why.
But if somebody came back and told me that was going to happen, I would be like, oh, that's awesome, that's so sick, he's like channeling Johnny.
Yeah.
But then when it happens, it leaves
yeah.
something to be desired. Like, this isn't cool enough. It came out of nowhere. It felt unearned.
Yeah, you want to talk about an ass pull. That's an ass pull. We don't even know how Rai knew about the spin. There were theories that he was a descendant of the Zeppelis.
I don't think he has to be a descendant of the Zeppelis to know about the spin, because when Gyro is explaining the golden ratio, it's like it can be found in nature, and you can have a relationship with nature and discover the golden ratio.
And we know other
And he was
spin
like a
users.
plant man.
Yeah, we met why can't I think of any
Weka-Pipo.
characters? Magenta, Weka-Pipo, thank you. They were both spin users. Well, at least Weka-Pipo was.
Was Magenta the spin user?
I just remember that they were bounty hunters together.
No, Magenta was the guy who could basically just make himself invincible.
Yeah, 21st century
move.
boy.
Yeah.
I think actually it was like Weka-Pipo was like, I am here and I'm going to use the spin and I have specific beef with Gyro. And Magenta was just like, I brought a gun. Like he was just like a little shit.
And Weka-Pipo was cool because like it was like the last time in JoJo that we saw a character who is ostensibly a stand user, but he's not a stand user.
Yeah.
He's explicitly not a stand user. It's a spin technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time we saw someone like that go
technically
toe-to-toe.
applicable to Ballbreaker too? That's not Gyro's stand. That's just a manifestation of the spin.
But Gyro did acquire a stand.
Yeah.
It was the scan thing.
It was the corpse part. Yeah, the eye.
The eyeball.
The eyeball that he grossly shoved into his own cheek meat.
Yeah, that's such a good panel,
Are
though.
you looking at the page with the with the Diamond storefront?
No, I was still on the page with the fly in the soda, and I just wanted to point out, I love that Paco says twice that it's not his fault the fly got in there. This ain't on me, by the way. This is no fault of my own.
I didn't do it, I swear. 89 years old? What? That's crazy.
89 years old. Was that in chapter 89 too? I don't think so.
It might have been. I wish it was. I didn't put the fly in the soda.
Wasn't
Put
that
the fly in the soda? No.
Wasn't 89? I think 89 was before the introduction of the head doctor, wasn't it?
No, man, because like 87, 88 is Ojiro Returns, and Ojiro Returns is like a break from the head doctor shit.
Oh. Yeah.
I'll pull it up if you want me to. I got all of JoJo Part 8 right here, downloaded, ready to go.
Let's not.
That's not necessary, thank you.
5-hour stream, we'll do it then.
We can go through all of JoJolion later. Let's stop getting distracted.
We can go through all of it just to get refreshed, exactly.
So everyone's freaking out.
To make sure the hate is still potent, still fresh.
I don't want to hate it. I want to love it, and that's why it hurts.
I do too. I like a lot about JoJolion, except like everything about the end.
I don't know, man. They're all freaking out about the dollar. Paco's like,
They're
what are you doing? They're
Actually,
freaking out.
To just rewind back to JoJolion 1 second, but to relate it to this current chapter, this specific instance of them getting the same $20 back via the lava rock not only calls back to the equivalent exchange phenomenon, but also Milagro Man. Because if you'll remember, every amount of money that you spend, you get back with interest to the point that it becomes detrimental. But in this case, it's just the equivalent exchange is you're just getting something good in return and seemingly not giving anything up.
Wouldn't it be incredible?
Unlike Ticket to Ride / Love Train and Milagro Man. Or even just the Locacacast from Part 8 having that equivalent exchange aspect.
Hey, did you guys remember if Milagro Man can only be affecting one person at a time? Like,
I believe that was the implication.
I think it was a curse you had to pass on to somebody else.
Yeah,
okay, because I kind of thought for
Joshu ends up just passing it back to the original guy.
Right.
And does the coolest thing he gets to do in that part, and then never mind. Okay, we're getting back into the tangent.
I thought that Milagro Man, for a moment there, you could just acquire that curse by touching a bill that had the Milagro Man curse on it.
No, I think it has to have been passed specifically.
Well,
like,
wouldn't it be
one
sick
person to
if
the
Milagro
next.
Man comes back in this part and is passed to Jodio? Wouldn't that be so fucking awesome? Because then he's going to get a taste of what it's like to be filthy, filthy, filthy rich.
Yeah.
And he's going to realize this isn't anything. Like, this is no good, actually. So then what's his motivation from there?
Kind of horrible, exactly.
You would be giving him what he always wanted.
How do you even get rid of it, though, if one of the Milagro Man's bills touches the lava rock?
Oh, God.
Ooh,
Oh, fuck. That's like a much harder battle than Joshu had to fight.
Like, you'd actually have to give up the lava rock.
You would. You would have to break it.
Yeah, you'd have to just throw it into the bottom of the ocean.
But what if the lava rock came speeding back at you with the force of a bullet?
That'd be a crazy way to end this part.
Okay, one thing I wanted to point out about this page before we move on. Dragona wants to test it on one more thing. Do we still have time? Yeah, it's 2 hours. Points at the store. Diamond. And then this shot right here. This is almost like
I was going to talk to you about
Joseph, Jotaro, Kakyoin, and Avdol, like ready to leave the house.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
It's great. It is such a great shot. The double spread of them just outside of the watch store.
Oh man, I wasn't even there yet. I was talking about like 2 pages before that, when all 4 of their heads. The page where Dragona says, "Okay, how about we test it on one more thing?"
Oh! I see.
That,
yeah,
I
didn't have the chapter pulled up.
Oh, okay.
I was jumping ahead. I was a greedy Gus.
A greedy Gus.
Yeah. I'm not gonna correct myself. That's what it is to me.
I'm pretty sure it's greedy guts, but you have your own way of saying things, and it's funnier, so just keep it.
That my entire life. I'm not changing myself now.
Actually, it's greedy Gatsu.
Greedy Gatsu.
Gatsu. Bro.
And even greedier Griffith.
Jesus Christ.
Dude,
Griffith.
You know what's fucked up? In the PS2 game, the English dub of the PS2 game, they call him Gatsu. Literally, Puck is like, Gatsu, look out! It's stupid.
If you know someone who calls him Gatsu unironically, you should stop being that person's friend.
It's a service that you need to do to them to make them wake up.
It's a red flag, and also I don't care. It's the Band of the Hawk.
This is an intervention.
I don't care if that was a mistranslation. It's always the Band of the Hawk to me.
In my mind, I have relegated it to like, the old one was the Band of the Hawk, and the new one is the Band of the Falcon, because it goes with Falconia. Like in my mind, because it's exactly the same word in Japanese for hawk and falcon. Like, that's how I've reasoned it, because we were all calling it the Band of the Hawk for all this time.
And it rolls off the tongue so much better.
Yeah. Anyway, so because, that moment where Rickert is like, the logo is slightly different. Maybe the kanji is written just slightly different, or whatever their language is in their world. So it's misinterpreted. So I always think of the old one, the one with Guts in it, as the Band of the Hawk still. And the new one with his, like, army of demons, that's the Band of the Falcon.
This evil,
Anyway, next page.
Luxury
watches and jewelry. If we took this lava rock in there with us, I gotta wonder what would happen. And we get all these nice shots of the characters. Like, look at their different eye shapes.
You're really gonna go that far? Oh my god.
And this is an interesting setup because, like, it doesn't look like they're getting into a stand battle, Dragona and Usagi. I mean, it just looks like they're being taken off the board, but also they're dealing with this.
Yeah, which makes me wonder if these are two separate occurrences, or it is somehow the same stand. Because part of me, I mean, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
Because we've seen no sign of any stand user attacking Dragona and Usagi in the store.
In the store, it makes me wonder if this is like a test from the actual bank, or not bank owners, the watch store employees. Like, they kind of set them up just to maybe pull a fast one over on them, because the guy saw the diamond in Dragona's bag. So it makes me wonder if he's like, oh, maybe I can get some big money out of them if I accuse them of stealing a watch or doing something.
That's an interesting angle. I hadn't thought of that. I'm just looking at everyone's eyes on this page, and I'm like, damn, Araki is actually beating the fuck out of the same face allegations right now. Look at the different shapes of everyone's eyes.
Like, even just these 4 panels here of all the different characters, they all have a shocked expression, but very different.
He's beating those allegations, man.
He's beating them.
But this moment right here, where, like, we've already won, we've got the lava rock and the diamond, but Dragona just wants to go for a little bit more. This moment right here reminds me so much. This is a moment we've seen in countless movies and anime and stories. Like, we're basically good, we just need to not push it, and someone decides to push it.
Well,
and that's what undoes everything.
Yep. This could be... I mean, it might be too early to say. It's
because here's the thing, man.
Possibly 100, possibly 10 years of the JoJoLands, but it's a bit too early to say that this is the inciting incident, but it's definitely setting up something. It's separating the gang, it's putting them in 2 different precarious situations.
Something that I've always loved in JoJo is when our characters have to fight a stand battle, but they're also fighting something normal in real life at the same time.
Such a minor everyday inconvenience.
Right.
And it's cool because, like, it shows how the lava rock can actually backfire. Because, like, you think, oh man, like, being able to get anything just by touching this rock to it, and like it'll always come back to you, that seems like a pretty good deal, until you realize it's always gonna come back to you.
Yeah, you can't turn it
off.
Whether
you like it or not, yeah. That's just what it does.
But like part 6, for example, there's a bunch of moments where we have like a stand battle going on, but we're also dealing with the normal human world level mechanics of being in prison. For example, the baseball fight, rec time ends, and the guard wants the ball and glove back, and you gotta go inside.
Yeah.
That guy's not a stand user of no fault of his own. Just by existing in the human world, he's making your stand battle harder.
Even Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna
say running through the streets and getting accosted by the police because his fucking wanted posters out everywhere.
Yeah. I was gonna say even back as far as Stardust Crusaders. You remember the Steely Dan arc.
Yes.
Where like he's basically forcing Jotaro to break the law for him so that he gets beaten up by normal people.
Yeah, he's like using these societal. Go ahead.
We even have Shakedown Road from JoJolion, where it's normal people who don't know anything about stands. They're just exploiting something that they found in real life, just vicariously, that happened to occur on Shakedown Road.
So this reminds me a lot of those moments where our characters are having to fight something supernatural and something mundane at the same time, and the conflicting rule sets makes it harder. This also reminds me of when, like a Part 4 story or something. It reminds me of when they go to turn in the lottery ticket, and they're trapped in there, and the guy is like making them really scared.
Oh wow, yeah.
That is such a good call, because that was my first response to this chapter, between the title being "Let's go look at luxury watches" and
let's go eat Italian food. Let's go hunting. Let's go eat Italian food. Let's go to the mangaka's house. It's a Part 4 title.
House. Yeah, it's a Part 4 thing, and it feels like we're much like how Steel Ball Run was an homage to basically parts 1 through 3. Part 4 was just kind of Part 8, JoJolion might.
It sort of feels like he's like sprinkling in the bits from Part 4 that he didn't get to put in JoJolion.
Yes, exactly. He's kind of making up for lost time with a little bit of the Part 4 Easter eggs and references without kind of cramming them in your face. It's a much more, because nobody's gonna go back and be like, oh, you know, I really wish he'd remake Let's Go Eat Italian Food. So he's doing a new spin on it, which I think is interesting. Pun unintended, spin.
But yeah, Part 7 is very like references to Parts 1 and 2, and some 3 in there as well. You got Dio and shit.
The final battle with Dio on the bridge, and he loses a leg.
But then I always thought that
almost loses a leg.
Well, Dio cuts his own leg fully off to throw it at John.
To be fair, the extent of the Part 2 references in Part 7 seems to be that Gyro's real name is actually
Julius Caesar Zeppeli.
Yeah, is Julius Caesar Zeppeli, and there's Stroheim there for a little bit. There's
I forgot about Stroheim
there for a little bit.
That is actually one of the most heartbreaking things in all of JoJo, is when Gyro's ghost shows up to have his little like last ghostly words with Jonathan, like, you know, sometimes characters get to do in this series. Yeah. And instead of saying anything like meaningful or important about the mission, he's just like, hey, you remember when I told you my real name? You promised.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anyone, bro. Okay, keep your promise.
Peace out.
See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you later, JoJo.
That's incredible.
It's my favorite final words of a JoJo companion.
That's
right up there with
Foo Fighters.
With Foo Fighters is great, and even though it's a fake out, I still am very fond of Part 3 Joseph Joestar.
Yeah.
These 50 days were pretty fun.
Yeah, it was like, I'm an old man. Like, I was never going to get to have an adventure like this ever again. But I got to do it with my grandson.
The dub version of it, have you seen the dub?
I have not.
Any of the bits. The way that they handled that scene in particular, the line specifically from Joseph is, "This is the most fun I've had in a long time."
Oh, man, that's so sad.
It's a real tearjerker.
And that comes like only a couple episodes, only a couple chapters after Calculin dying in the water tower, wondering what time is it in Japan right now. I wonder what my parents are doing. They're probably asleep. It's so sad.
That and God, fucking Shigeki saying he's gonna protect his mommy and daddy, and just his last words screaming for Josuke.
Man,
he knows how to write.
He knows
how to write a character death.
That reminds me.
And yet somehow he forgot for Mamazoku. He forgot.
He forgot a little bit.
Okay, sorry, Chris. Go ahead, please.
When you finish the JoJo spinoff, Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak.
Yes.
We gotta talk about that one on the podcast, because like that.
I still need to finish that too.
Like one of the offshoots of like that it goes into is like, you know, Kakyo and you know,
his cousin. Yeah, the girl.
Yeah.
Kiyomi. I don't know her name.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to reread through it. Also, just what a weird pairing of Whole Horse and Josuke Higashikata.
Incredible. I mean,
fighting the second stand user bird that Dio happened to have, apparently.
there was another.
There
And you know
was
what's funny?
another.
That's the only enemy they fight in the entire part.
Yeah, it's just the bird. It's just the fucking bird and the handler.
Incredible.
It's so good. I like Pet Sounds a lot, actually.
I kind of know what happens in it, but I still got to go read it myself. I haven't read it.
It's
I've
a
heard
crazy
things.
spin-off. You know what we should do? We should do like a deep dive into that specifically for like next month when we're on hiatus.
Ooh,
Oh,
the
yeah, we
spin-off
totally could.
world, or
We
just
totally could.
specifically Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak?
We could make like a quick 30-minute discussion of that.
Man, we would talk for hours.
We would. Oh, if you want to talk for hours about a spin-off, fucking the George Joestar light novel.
Have you read that shit?
I have not read
not.
it, but I've read enough piecemeal Spark Notes versions of it that I'm like, holy fucking shit.
Wiki diving, yeah.
I have wiki dived on it as well, but I actually want to read it because it just sounds completely insane.
It sounds batshit fucking nuts, which is why one of the main reasons I'm not even shocked by Rohan being himself in the new universe, because if the George Joestar rules are anything to go by, he was just so focused on writing Pink Dark Boy that he ignored an entire universal reset, or even further, an outside, what am I trying to say? Like a fourth wall metatextual reboot of the series. Like, he just ignored it and continued to exist.
I don't even know that it's all that. I just think that the things that happened to change this time, like for imagine you rewind us back to 1888, or rewind us back to 1880, let's say. George Joestar's cabbage. His cabbage doesn't go off that cliff. He moves his family to America. His son grows up there instead.
Well, now I have to
That's
find
like-
a PNG of a cabbage.
That's like
A cabbage with George
Because it's
Joestar in it, yeah.
because it's the California King Bad cheese pieces. God damn it. Thank you, Chris. Anyway, so like one or two small changes in the timeline. Like the meteor doesn't fall, Jonathan grows up in America instead. And then we watch how the timeline plays out that way instead. Now, it's just like taking a huge thing of dominoes that's all about to fall and just like changing which one you hit first. Like that initial little pocket of dominoes. So I just think that the way the dominoes fell differently in this timeline as compared to the original one didn't cause anything that created Rohan to happen any differently. You know, like the Joestars were affected, all of this stuff over here. But when the universe was done again, Rohan's events that played out to create him, like the same parents married, you know?
Rohan is a multiversal constant.
I was gonna
I don't
say,
think he's special. I just think
of him
he's
as a universal. I like to think of Rohan as a universal constant, because as we discussed, he is no different. Everyone else has a counterpart that, even if they have the same name, same parentage, same history, they are a physically different person with a different personality, a different outlook on life.
And like,
Rohan is himself to the T. Rohan Kishibe, writing the same manga, same personality quirks.
I don't think any of these
Same
other
everything.
characters had the exact same parents. Like, for instance, the moment when Jonathan marries Rina Higashikata instead of Erina Pendleton makes it so that none of these motherfuckers are ever going to be exactly how they were originally. I'm just saying that didn't happen for Rohan's family tree. Mr. and Mrs. Kishibe still married each other and got together and raised their son the same way. That wasn't changed in this timeline.
And they made him the exact same freak that he was always meant to be.
The things that played out to make him that way just played out again.
See, here's the thing. The Joestars could escape their fate. Rohan Kishibe cannot escape his fate. He is destined to be this freak-ass mangaka, licking spiders and getting into fistfights with 15-year-old boys.
He lives on the edge, man.
He lives on the edge. He loves punching children in the face. It's one of his favorite things to do.
I've seen him do it many a time. Well,
He's done
15
it a
is
lot.
generous. He punched rock, paper, scissors kid in the face. That kid was like 9.
Yeah, the kid was like fucking 4 years old. He just punched him in the face.
I'll punch a child in the face. Fuck it, why not?
Fuck it, I ain't above
Exactly.
punching rats!
I've got nothing to lose.
All right, man. We've been on this page with the four of them standing coolly outside the store for a while.
We sure have. Also, I just want to say real quick, I love the gradient on Usagi's.
I will point out we are
suit.
making better progress than we did last session.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
making
for
good
sure.
time. We're making good time.
At least most of what we've been talking about has been JoJo.
We've been progressing.
We've been progressing.
All right.
But yeah, I like the gradient on Usagi's morph suit. I can't wait to see it colorized.
So, next page, she puts the lava rock in the pocket behind her chest thing, which she has. That's hilarious.
Sure, why not?
How does that?
You know,
affix to
you're
you?
a thief, you're a criminal. You gotta have your
Well, yeah,
your spare
secret pockets, man. Secret pockets.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
All right, so the diamond's in the wallet, and then all of a sudden we get another title drop: the JoJoLands. This is the story of
JoJoLands,
one boy
yeah.
becoming filthy rich.
So maybe this could be the first major inciting incident besides them just getting the lava rock. Maybe this is the domino effect we're watching.
I have a big question for you, and this is something I've been talking about with Chris on every episode so far. Is this narration retrospective? You know, like, is this being delivered to us by a Jodio in the future who already knows, like, he's looking back on these events and narrating them? Or is this
the implication
in the
from
moment?
the first chapter
Right.
is that it's from Jodio. This, I'm not sure.
Well, in the
this
first
could
chapter...
be the JoJo narrator coming in, but I still think there is a retrospective aspect, because in the first chapter,
Yeah.
Jodio specifically says there's nothing that could have prepared the four of us for...
Right. No matter how many
what was
people
about
we
to happen.
brought, it wouldn't have been enough. So he
Yeah.
has foreknowledge. He's telling this story looking back on it.
Has the JoJo narrator made an appearance since the end of Steel Ball Run?
I
No, because
don't
Yasuo
think so,
narrated
because it was
part 8.
Yasuo, yeah. It was Yasuo in part 8, and so far, it's seemingly just Jodio for the JoJoLands.
But I wonder if it's like Jodio telling this story from his prison cell. You know what I mean? Like, where is he? Where does he end
yeah,
up?
maybe we go full part 6 by the end. I don't know.
The rise and fall of Jodio Joestar.
Yeah,
A
well,
little
no,
bit,
dude.
yeah.
When you have a goal like this for your character, i.e., the goal being more, then more is never enough. So they have to fall. Like, the character has to peak at some point.
Exactly, and Zach, you postulated to me one time that you think there's a chance that Dragona and Jodio might come into conflict at some point and parallel Jonathan and Dio from part 1.
I think so, because
Where
we
one
don't
stands
know...
on a moral high ground and the other kind of gets lost, like absolute power corrupts absolutely, as it is known to do.
And I think it would be a very neat twist on that, to have our
and we've been
protagonist
talking about-
be the one who is corrupted by absolute power, and our secondary character be the one who's good and moral.
We've been talking about callbacks to the old universe, but I think, like, the greatest callback of all would be, like, you know, bring it full circle and have the ending of this universe be Jodio sitting in a prison cell.
Yeah.
Beginning of part 3.
That would be great. That would be great. Because I've always subscribed to the opinion that the only way I think JoJo could end is in a way that kind of ties the entirety of JoJo together with a nice bow.
As stupid...
Like, just something that harkens back to the beginning. Even if it's just the shot of Jodio walking up to a fucking new universe Joestar estate or something. You know what I mean?
As stupid as it was, I kind of really enjoyed that the Radio Gaga incident bookends the entirety of JoJo. Like, this series starts with a carriage going off a cliff, and it ends with a guardrail. Like, that was dumb and silly,
neat. That's funny.
but I liked
also,
it.
Parallels the beginning of part 2 with Joseph getting his wallet stolen.
Yeah. So it was a nice full circle moment.
Getting into a car and helping out an old lady, yeah.
So, you know, it was one of those, like, if there was no JoJo Part 9, I would still be disappointed about how Part 8 ended, but I would feel like that was a nice bow that you put on it at the end there. That was a nice tie back into the very beginning.
Reference. It still makes me wonder why we got to see anything about Joseph and the guardrail, but maybe it'll come back into play here. Will that make Part 8 better? Probably not, but it'll at least make Part 9 kind of interesting.
I remember one of one of the things I suggested for like how you fix part 8 is like give us
rewrite everything.
Stop it.
No, go ahead.
Like the problem is Josuke's story is not done. He did
No,
not
it's
accomplish
very
his mission.
clearly. No, very clearly not.
So like
the ending frustrates me the most because that final chapter, that final moment of the Higashikatas all together in like the waiting room of the hospital or whatever, accepting Josuke in and accepting Yasuo in,
Where he picks the cake.
it makes it seem like the entire part was built to be a found family coming of age identity story, but it wasn't that. It stopped being that as soon as Josuke realized he was two people, and then his perspective changed, his goals changed, everything. He didn't interact with the Higashikata family since Vitamin C. Since the Vitamin C fight. He was not in proximity to any one of them.
We need to see Josuke in the islands looking for more of that fruit because he still hasn't saved Holly.
He still hasn't saved Holly. She's still in a coma by the end of part 8.
And as it stands, it seems like an absolutely fucking ridiculous and infuriating thing to do, to cut away from part 8 when it's like so lean on meat for the ending. It's so lean.
Exactly.
To
when
cut
there is
away
so many loose
to a
ends, so many plot points and mysteries that we never saw resolved, never seen.
To cut away from the good stuff.
Come to fruition. Because at least in prior parts, we can have the connecting thread of Joseph showing up to mentor Jotaro, but his adventure is effectively begins and ends in part 2. He's not the focal point. We're not getting more information or more things about Joseph Joestar and his adventures in part 3. He's just there to guide in new generation, and he's only there in part 4 to kind of introduce us to the weird family tree of JoJo, to introduce that idea.
That's
to
the
make
thing
it more
right there.
digestible to get to Giorno and so on and so forth.
Hang on, I've been waiting my turn.
Okay.
Actually, Chris, you go first.
Yeah.
I can wait. I'll remember.
It's cool because we've seen Araki do this much better with Jotaro from part 3 to part 6, where he had his own mission that he was on, but it wasn't anything that was hinted at in part 3. It wasn't anything left hanging that we felt at the end of part 3 we need to see more of Jotaro. He just came up with it afterwards, and it made sense for Jotaro to be in parts 4 and part 6.
So to cut away from a character,
he has diminishing importance every time.
Yeah, in part 5 he's barely even there. But to cut away from a moment where it's not like Jotaro, we don't feel fulfilled. Our character is not finished. He's not done. Put him back in the oven. He needs more time. To cut away from that to the adventures of a character we have never heard of before and do not, as of now, care about, just to make sure that the timeline, the bloodline is going to make sense for the start of your next part, you are using your page count wrong, sir. This was not the time to go do a fucking 1964 Joseph Joestar flashback and set up that he's gonna have a kid and that the bloodline will continue, but it won't be Josuke 8's children. What the fuck was that? You could have done that 50 chapters ago, and I still would have been that was weird, but okay. But now, during the ending, when
of the rock
every panel, we're counting down, this is going to be the last few pages of JoJolion ever, and you're spending it on this. The
Joseph Joestar flashback should have come within proximity of the resolution of Johnny's arc, if you really think about it.
Exactly. It should have been we have this flashback to Johnny, we have this flashback to Joseph. Okay, now we can proceed with the story.
Yeah, we should have established what happened in Morio in the past so that we can understand why this is happening now. Don't save that for the very end, and also save it for the very end and not have it resolve anything. Because we already know about rock humans, we already know about Lucy coming to Japan to look for Johnny.
More importantly, don't have it replace the ongoing story when
That's
you still have
thing.
threads
That's
left
the
to
fucking
wrap
problem.
up.
Exactly.
That's it right there.
100%. 5-hour JoJolion podcast.
We're getting way distracted. Do you guys remember the thing? They reissued the volume with the photo of Josefumi and Kira and Carrera, and they removed Josefumi's birthmark?
Did they really?
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. That's a real thing that really happened. Araki has,
boy.
admitted that was just a mistake and never meant anything, and I want to blow my fucking brains out.
Oh, Jesus.
It's it's such a I've put my faith in the wrong man. Like, I thought all of this was going to mean something, and it meant nothing.
It's hard liking JoJo so much, and then
I'm in an abusive relationship with it.
Exactly, and having to come to terms with the fact that Araki plans out the beginning and the end, and he makes up everything in the middle. He flies by the fucking seat of his pants. And if he doesn't know how to write himself out of something, he's going to make it up.
I have to believe that, like, Araki must have taken some lessons from the feedback he got on Part 8.
Oh, absolutely, and I was going to say that because
this is going great so far.
The brevity of which we're getting information, we're getting action, we're getting character moments. We're not dawdling around. We're not singing the French fry song. You know,
the French fry song was cute.
Right
Shut
into
up.
The meat and potatoes. I like the French fry song. Don't get me wrong. I like the slice of life aspects of JoJolion. It's one of the things I really appreciate.
But the problem with JoJolion is he has that reunion with Yasuho, and they hold hands and sing about French fries, and then that same chapter, Carrera appears from the shadows, and he's like, Yasuho, I gotta go do something, bye. So instead of building up that relationship, we're just like, whoop, on to the next thing. It's a failure of pacing.
It's a failure of pacing. A lot of JoJolion comes down to poor pacing, great ideas, poor execution, and no resolution for just about any of them.
And the thing is, JoJolion seemed to have great pacing at the beginning, just like
absolutely. The first
JoJoLands has great pacing now.
Yeah, which makes me
it starts to fall apart near the end.
Exactly, which is making me wary and hesitant. Like I keep saying it, we're gonna actually have to come back in 5 to 10 years to really compare and contrast JoJoLands to everything before it, because it started off super strong, but it could start to peter out by the middle and just drag on, and then maybe pick up Dragona at the end. Yeah, exactly, Dragona these nuts. But anyway, and then maybe we pick back up and he sticks the landing. But I still, to the last chapter, to the last panel of JoJolion, I was hoping that he would stick the landing.
Yeah.
And then I read it and I felt unfulfilled, and I didn't want to feel that way.
And he
wanted to have faith.
He didn't necessarily land and break both his legs, but he was wobbly. He was wobbly on the dismount, and he looked unsure of himself. It didn't seem right.
It was up until the Joseph flashback for me that I still 100%. Had hope that Araki could pull off what I was hoping he would pull off with JoJolion.
100%.
But once we cut away, I realized, oh no,
that's what frustrated me the most.
For me,
it wasn't. Is watching it in real time, watching every aspect of potential just every modicum get drained, and you just kind of have to sit there and be like, it is what it is. This is, I can't change it.
It's Jover.
I just have to accept it. It's Jover. It's JoJoli over. It's JoJo over. Yeah,
it's JoJo all over.
Exactly. And just having to resign yourself to it's difficult.
For me, the moment I lost hope was not when we flashed back to Joseph Joestar in chapter 109, not the Radio Gaga incident part 1, but when the chapter 110 comes out and I open it up and I click to the first page of the chapter and we are still in the fucking flashback. And I go look, and it's halfway through the chat. Before I even read it, I'm like, wait, how much of this is still this fucking flashback? How much? When do I get to see Josuke again? And it's half the last chapter. That's the moment when my heart sank. I was like, oh, we can't. There's no time. There's no time. That's it.
There's literally no time.
Speaking of there being no time, we've been talking about JoJolion a lot, and we gotta get through this chapter.
5 hour, we'll go through all of it. Okay,
we should all reread JoJolion in preparation for that cast and just take detailed notes. It could be 10 hours if we wanted.
We should do that in a personal call, just so we don't lose our own sanity.
Absolutely.
Individually.
I'd be down for that. I like this moment where it zooms in on JoJo. This is the story of one boy becoming filthy rich. The dark panel, and then this intimidating panel of the two of them, and then JoJo, and then Paco. And he's like, never mind, hey, do you want me to get the car? No, I don't care, it's fine. You want to go get some chicken burritos? Sure. Like, there's this menacing panel of the two of them, and then he's like, you want to get a burrito? Like, they just
seconds
swivel
away
around
from
and
the
leave.
dark determination flowing up in his eyes, and it's like, hey, you want to get lunch? Oh, I could eat, yeah. Super hungry.
This is how you do that slice of life stuff. It's like you set it up as something like, you know, important plot is going down. It's like, hey, you want to just go get the car?
No, let's just skip the car. Let's get some chicken burritos.
We can walk to the car. We don't gotta pull it around. There's like a burrito place over there.
It's not that far away, yeah.
And then they're in the watch store, and he says, luxury watches aren't something you look at to see what time it is. They're for looking at how much time you've got left in life. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, with the most, again, like, super dramatic, but also goofy lighting, because it's Usagi.
Yeah.
Right? Just doing his best, like, ooh, it's for how much time you've got left, oh. Yeah, and then you have the, mall security, the watch store security kind of standing in the back there.
Right. Next page. Dragona has the lava rock, and she's like almost gonna take it out, but then a guy says welcome, and she leaves it on her chest.
Interrupts. You can see the sweat marks.
He calls it a Polex.
I love this bit with Usagi and the watch owner. Like, oh, no, trust me, I can handle this. I got this. I know everything about watches. Yeah, can I get the, got any Polexes? You know, the wireless charging ones, dipped in pure gold? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You can't charge a Rolex, man.
They're not dipped in gold. Like, you're Dragona's whispering in his ear, you're nervous, aren't you? You're freaking out.
Sir, don't go into that room. I don't believe there's a reason for you to go over there. She's like, oh, I knew I should have gone in here with Jodio.
Oh, this kid's fucking it up. He's an idiot.
Paco goes back and forth between, like, extremely competent and extremely incompetent.
Yeah, like, I like that there's a distinction between, like, his street smarts and, like, his social skills, you know? Like, in the heat of battle, he's fine. He's like, I got this. I know how to defeat the cats. I know that this is a stand attack. Yeah, you got any digital Polexes, the wireless charging kind? It's like, what? Huh? What?
It's fantastic.
It's great. It's a great, like, the cast is just so interesting. Their personalities are so dynamic and so, like,
there's something already that's added to it by them being a bunch of dumb kids that we've been missing in the, like, adult-focused parts of 7 and 8. I mean, Yasuo...
These are just, like, dumb, shitty high schoolers.
Yasuo, I guess, was in school. Like, we saw her in school one time while she was doing, like, research on the Legend of Johnny Joestar on her phone.
Sure.
But they didn't feel like high schoolers. All those characters felt like 20-somethings. You know what I mean? Like, except for Joshu. and Tsurugi, who was obviously 10 years old. But, you know...
Who was a little baby boy.
Everybody felt like a grown-up.
Even then, he had, like, the JoJo 10-year-old level of maturity.
Right, wise beyond his years. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how, like, if Araki wrote Part 5 today, this is how I'd expect the JoJo gang to act.
Because those guys are all
a gang
teenagers.
of, like, small-time criminals, just kind of being bumblefucks, because they're between the ages of 15 and 19.
It's fantastic. You can't not bumblefuck around at that age.
No, exactly.
Alright, next page. Cute watches like this one are so nice, although she's just holding what appears to be a bracelet. Oh no, she's taking off her own bracelet because she wants to try the watch on, and when she opens her thing up, she's like flashing her cash.
This is when the guy sees the diamond twinkling in the thing, and he really turns up the customer service.
When he's turning it up,
dear customer, oh my god, of course, might I compliment you on your discerning eye? Oh my god,
he gets a whiff of that cash.
In that panel, look at Dragona's face. Dragona's looking at Usagi like,
the smug ass, like, see, I got it.
That's how you do it. That's how it's done.
Completely misreading the situation. Yeah, it's so good. It is part 4 to a T in terms of tone.
This is great. All right, so they have a seat.
Please have a seat. Come right into the back. Yes. We have a couch.
They're looking at the watches.
You were on point with the Harvest Act comparison earlier.
Oh yeah.
Casey.
This is absolutely that.
100% Harvest vibes. We're going to the back of the bank. I see you got all the money. You're going to make some investments. I'm going to tell you about equities. It's going to be great. We got the watches laid out.
Would either of you like a drink? We have mineral water, Chinese tea, Japanese tea, champagne, dry sherry, mimosas, bellinis.
Oh, no. I'll just take a Sprite, you know. You got any sodas? I just want Sprite.
You got Sprite. Like he's revealing himself to be a low-class doofus.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's my favorite.
It's magnificent beyond words.
Ooh, looking at the watches.
Ask how much it costs. It's a rare crocodile, $40,000.
Crocodile. We made this out of crocodile. Alligator.
Uh-oh. So I think actually she is holding the watches near her chest thing, and the lava rock is acting on them.
And she's not being nearly subtle enough about it.
I don't think she's...
Because the guy catches on immediately.
Yeah.
He knows at least something's up. Yeah.
Something weird is happening. Yeah, so he gets up, turns around, says some shit to the guys, and they lock the fucking doors.
Immediately.
My dear customers, I believe you already know what is going on.
The camera comes out.
I do very much hope you'll take these words to heart. There is still time. I am showing the two of you respect. Like, this is so, like, he's being very tactful. He doesn't want to come out and say you guys stole. He's, like, giving you an out. Like, I understand. You guys are just dumb kids. Put the watch back on the table and everything will be fine. But it's so terrifying because a normal person would just be like, okay, and put the watch back. But our characters literally cannot do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what would have happened to a normal person. But because we're in the world of JoJo, yeah, because they don't even know that they did it, or if they did anything. And they're like, "What are you guys talking about?" You even have Usagi like, "I swear it wasn't me. I don't know what they're talking about. I didn't touch the watch. I didn't move the watch."
And he's sweating. He's freaking out because this guy knows about stands, but he doesn't know shit about people.
He does know how to interact in the... Yeah, he can't navigate this situation.
No, he does not. He's like a dumb kid.
One of the watches is missing.
He somehow knew to go feed cats caviar, but he can't figure out his way out of this one.
No.
And at the end of this page, we see like Dragona's like peeking into the compartment, right? And then we cut away to outside, which is like perfect, like.
Right.
Perfect transition. Yeah, building the suspense, keeping it going.
And also, this is one of my... I've talked about this with Chris before. I love that manga moves as fast as you can read it, and as fast as your brain can process it. And I love... There's something about good paneling that just cannot be recreated in an anime. Even, like, good editing, good pacing of, like, the shots and the music, all that can almost do it, but there's nothing that replicates the feeling of... looking at that last little small anticipation panel at the bottom left of the page and then turning the page to like a big 2-page spread reveal of what that anticipation panel was setting up. But this is subverting that. We get that anticipation panel, go, and then you turn the page, we're away. We're somewhere else. They're eating chicken burritos.
Yeah. We're back to the chicken burrito.
That is great paneling and great pacing.
Well, because we also have like an anticipation panel at the bottom of this where you're wondering, oh no, something else is going wrong outside. What's going on?
Right.
Yeah. Because they're getting ready to eat the chicken burritos, and then all of a sudden, you see something fly into the chicken bag.
Oh, I didn't even think something flew in. I thought that because he goes to open it, right? And then he says, after all, I think he looks inside and sees what's in there and just yanks his hand away. Yeah, he recoils instantly, and the bag is dropped. Because then he's already sweating and looking around, but Paco doesn't know anything happened.
Yeah. And then he says this is a warning. There was someone in the forest with us the whole time. They weren't stray cats.
They weren't strays.
Which this gives me hope because now I was really bummed that they didn't reveal the name of the cat stand, but now we have another chance.
Oh yeah, you wanted it to be Cat Scratch Fever so bad.
That would have been a good one. I have a theory for what this stand is called, the one that's currently interacting with the gang.
I don't even know if they have, if they are someone's stand, or if they are cats with stands, or if they are rock animals, but I kind of want them to be rock animals.
I think it'd be fun if they were rock animals.
Yeah.
But as to whatever's manipulating things from afar, at least outside, I think it would be great for this thing to be called Invisible Touch.
Ooh, I don't know that song.
It's a Genesis song, Phil Collins.
Oh. Is it one of the ones he listens to while he's fucking those girls in American Psycho?
Is it it might be an American Psycho. I'm not sure. But yeah, just the implication that he can move things from a distance without being detected. He put all the cats severed heads.
Invisible Touch, yeah. It is one of the songs in the movie.
Okay, sure enough. Fair enough.
This harkens back to I'm thinking about I'm thinking about part 5 when
oh no,
when
but Kira's
Giorno
hand
first
in the
meets
bag.
Bruno.
Hand in the sandwich bag.
That's a good one. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I was thinking of part 5 when Giorno first meets Bruno, and he puts the fingers in Giorno's mouth without him opening his mouth.
Oh God, I fucking forgot about that. What in the hell? I'm gonna go pull that up. I've got parts 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 on my computer, just ready to go at any moment. Because those are the ones I read in manga format, so those are the ones I'm like attached to the panels and the pages, like, as opposed to the anime.
Bruno comes and asks Giorno, "Hey, what happened with Leaky Eye Luki and Luca? Right, and Giorno's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then Bruno licks him, and he says, "I know you're lying."
He puts the eyeball in his hand. There's no fingers in his mouth. It's an eyeball in his hand. Because his hand is closed. Because I couldn't visualize the fingers in the mouth. I was like, why can't I?
Okay.
Why don't I?
Okay, no, it was. You're right. It was an eyeball in the hand. I forgot.
I went and looked it up for the viewers so they could see me figure it out. We're looking at the Taste of the Liar page right now.
The Taste of the Liar.
Also, is that a real ability that he has, or is that just an intimidation tactic?
Well, yeah, it's his zipper. Remember, he opens up a zipper and.
Oh no! I was talking about the sweat licking thing. Like, can he really do that?
Oh, I think that's an intimidation tactic.
Yeah, that's got to be an intimidation tactic. He's got to be fucked. It's a Russian taunt.
Back up.
Yeah.
It's a Russian taunt.
I can't believe there are people out there that say things like, there's a plot hole in the talking head fight. Why couldn't Bruno just lick Narancia's face to see if he was lying?
Oh,
but like,
God.
Narancia isn't lying. He wouldn't be giving lie sweat if there was even such a thing. He's trying to tell the truth.
Exactly. The whole stand is it makes you say the opposite of what you want to say.
There are so many things that people call Rocky Forgots that are actually just like L reading comprehension moments.
Plus, he's not like being outlandish with his claims at all, because what's actually happening is outlandish. It's just he's being really weird about the truth from Bruno's perspective.
Yeah.
Guys, there's totally not a shark in my soup. Don't even worry about it.
Okay, Narancia, thanks for letting us know
that.
No,
guys, no, seriously, there's not a shark in my soup.
We guys, heard you, buddy.
Don't look.
It's okay.
Don't look. Don't look, there's no shark.
And Abakio's like, alright, we won't look at your soup! Jesus! Shut up!
Oh, jeez. Giorno, there's nothing wrong with me. Giorno, please, don't worry about me. I'm okay.
And Giorno's like looking through binoculars at two guys touching each other and kissing on the rooftop, and he's like, "Do you think this is relevant?"
He's like, man, Italy sure is weird.
All right, okay. So the opening up of the bag. This is like the eyeball in Giorno's hand, or the hand in the
hand
bag.
in Kira's sandwich bag.
Yeah.
Just the decapitated heads of the cats.
This is also kind of like a Danny bursting out of the furnace moment, which only happened in the manga.
Yeah, only in the manga.
It's kind of just like a pure animal death, gross horror moment.
We don't cut back to the watch store at all.
Yeah.
No.
In this chapter.
No,
the final panel is just Paco and Jodio getting ready for action. They're freaking out. They're going, oh!
And I think that is a crazy message to send. You've decapitated all 3 of the cats and just put their heads in bags. What a crazy message to send. Like, oh, congratulations, you guys defeated the cats. Those were nothing to me. I would cut their heads off myself.
Yeah.
They failed me for the last time.
Yeah.
Also, I love the little subtitle at the bottom left. Give it back.
Give it back.
It's not an exclamation mark. It's not a exclamation. It's a demand. Give it back.
Also,
Whoever this is sending a message.
I just want to say I'm really, really excited for us to meet our first real villain in this story.
Oh god!
Because if you think about it,
I can't wait.
First of all, our villain has
Our first
been
actual stand fight.
well, non-stand fights included. Our villains so far have been the police again,
Again.
Rohan Kishibe, some cats again. So like Rohan, I wouldn't classify as a villain, and the cats aren't like villains with speaking lines. You know what I mean? They're not characters.
They only have as much intent as the owner of the cat.
Right. So I'm really excited for us to meet our first real villain, because so far we've had cops, interchangeable, cats, not actual villains, and then Rohan, not actually a villain.
Not actually a villain. Yeah, this is our first actual stand fight versus a villain.
And so someone has been like following them and shadowing them and has been letting them think up to this point that they've succeeded and that they've gotten away with it. But the reason that the diamond store, not the diamond store, the
I know, I keep wanting to call it like the bank or a diamond
Yeah.
store or something.
The crazy diamond and the lava rock entering the goddamn
watch
what was it called? Diamond. That's why we keep calling it
Diamond.
Yeah. Diamond watch. Diamond. Those two items entering the watch store and causing this hubbub inside of there is an enormous problem, because although our characters were able to convince Rohan not to report them to the police, you know, they got away with that, and they so far have safe passage back to the island. But if they can't find some similar,
since they defeated the cats,
right? If they can't find some similar way to weasel out of this situation, like for example, if they have to just use force and use their stands and like break the glass window and jump out the front door and run away down the street, you're back to hot. Like you just lost your heat and now you're okay and you're going to be able to get home, but you're about to catch some more heat. Instantly. Your wanted level is going to go up to like 3 or 4 stars without even killing any cops yet. And you know you're going to be killing cops on this escape. So like, it's going to be bad.
Even Dragona says earlier in the chapter, it's not safe for us to get back on the plane to Oahu until we know how the lava rock works and what we're up against. Yeah. If we don't know what we're dealing with, we don't know how to move forward. So we have to cover all of our bases, and now we have an interference in that. Now they're going to get a taste of what they're up against.
So it's a little bit understandable and forgivable for Dragona to do this, because she didn't do it out of greed. She wasn't like, ooh, let's go get some luxury watches with this lava rock. She was like, we should really figure out what the fuck this thing does.
Yeah, we need to see like the upper limits.
And the way this chapter ends, it like perfectly sets up like the stakes, but like without actually telling us what we're up against, because like we already know like the stage, we know the staging ground, we know the teams. All we're waiting on is to see like who the villain is.
Exactly. And there's been no indication, there's been nobody in the background hiding, you know, cloaked in shadows like traditional JoJo villains in the past. We have nothing to go off of other than a watch is missing and the cats are dead inside of the chicken burrito bag.
Also, when was the last time this happened where our group of stand users was like split up and had to do 2 different battles at the same time?
I mean, admittedly, not since like part 6, because we haven't had a certified group of
stand users, right? Johnny and Gyro fought every battle together.
It's always been a pair.
And if there was a B story, separate battle, it was like Diego and Hot Pants. But they're not technically on the team; they're on their own team.
Weren't there times where Josuke and
Rai Mamazuku.
What's her name?
Yasuo Hirose.
Yasuo. Weren't there times when like they were both fighting different stand users at the same time?
Well, there was Toru where she's like standing in the courtyard just hoping not to die while Josuke does all the work in the hospital, but I wouldn't say that's them fighting 2 battles at the same time.
That's also that's the same stand user.
Yeah, that's
also the same stand user technically, yeah.
I will say one of the coolest things.
The only other thing I could think of is Blue Hawaii, where Yasuo has to, but again, it's the same stand user where Yasuo has to intercept Josuke or intercept Dolomite. Not Dolomite. Yeah, Dolomite.
Yeah. I don't know. But this is really cool.
Yeah.
I was talking with
This
Casey
is
on
really
Twitter.
Cool. We haven't seen this in a while.
When the part started, I was talking to you, Casey, and I was like, this is so sick that we just got a crew right off the bat. You know, we didn't start with one and have to build it one by one. We didn't, start with a duo like we have the last two parts. Like, we're back to crew. We haven't had a crew at the beginning in forever.
Like I said, I am glad that we are just cutting right to the chase with everything.
It's a return to form.
It's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's a return to form. We know who these characters are.
Part 7 was okay, but like the aspect of like not having a team, it just really wasn't hitting for me.
That's understandable.
Parts 7 and 8.
I can see that. I can definitely see it in part 8, but again, we'll save that. And what is also interesting, comparing the beginnings of part 7 and 8 and calling this a return to form here in 9, is we don't really know who our protagonists are at the beginning of part 7 and 8 for different reasons. For part 7, Gyro is largely the main protagonist for the first handful of story arcs until Johnny starts to come into his own and we actually learn more about him. And then obviously with part 8, Josuke doesn't even know who he is.
I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to bring this up because I think that one of the most interesting things that part 8 did was take something that every other JoJo has had by default and taken for granted, knowledge of where they came from, and taken it away from him.
Character, yeah.
At the beginning of every JoJo part, like, Joseph shows up and says, "Hi, Jotaro, I'm your grandfather. We are the Joestars. Here's our deal. Now you know." Easy peasy. Same thing with part 4.
Exactly.
Part 5, Giorno doesn't really get that. Part 6, Jolene comes to understand. So everybody gets that information pretty early. I'm a Joestar. Yeah. I get what I am. I have to do this battle against evil. Josuke is an interesting idea to take that away from the character and to leave them wandering around like, who am I? I don't know what Joestars are. I don't know that I am one. What the fuck am I and what am I supposed to do in this world? And now with part 9, we have an interesting new twist on that idea, which is that Jodio also doesn't really seem to know that he's a Joestar and what that means, but he also doesn't care. Like, he doesn't know who he is, but he's not looking for answers. He doesn't give a shit.
We've already seen his personality. Yeah. He already knows what he's about. He's confident in himself. He has
a personality. He doesn't need to build it like Josuke 8 did.
Exactly.
He doesn't need to find himself. Now, he feels confident in himself.
This already gives us a solid ground to build off of. We see him as this cocky, confident, young little, shit kid. And now we know that he has at least some level of retrospective understanding of his adventure and of the choices he made and everything that happened along the way, that hints at some future growth or maturity that we just haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I do think he is telling this story looking back, wistfully but also regretfully, from many years in the future. I think this is being told by a grown-up Jodio, like, looking back and being like, damn, I wish my sister or my friends were still alive.
Yeah, whoever makes it out alive, which is interesting, because the implication does seem to be that these are the 4. This is the crew. We're not getting any more members.
I think it would be...
He says 4 people would never have been enough. It doesn't matter how many people.
An interesting shakeup if we were to lose one of them to death and or turning to villainy, and we would get a new one. But also, I don't know when that should happen, if it would be happening. Definitely not this early. We need to ride this crew out for like 20 chapters before it gets changed at all.
We need to see what they're worth.
Right. Also, I'm wondering if this is going to be one of those go parts, like part 5, where it all takes place in like a week, or if this is going to be one of those like, so we got the diamond back to Meryl May Key and chilled out for like a month, like part 4.
Right. We get some little like in-between moments.
Part 4 takes place over a summer in 1999, and then part 8 also takes place over a similar amount of time. I believe Josuke comes out of the ground in May, and we don't make it to winter. The story takes place over that summer. I was tweeting at this Japanese artist on Twitter once, and they said, "Cute if Josuke believes in Santa." And I was like, "Aw, like, Imagine Yasuo teaching him about Santa and Christmas, like his first Christmas. Like he has no memories. He doesn't know what anything is. He's like discovering snow. Like imagine the goofy early Josuke stuff where he's eating like the bean things wrong.
I do really miss the just sheer goofiness of early Josuke's personality before he just became all serious all the time.
Yeah.
Like even him interrogating Ojiro, where he's like, "Oh Yasuo, what's that thing over there? Can you go look at that for me?" And he just starts beating shit out of him.
That was awesome.
On him. Yeah.
And
oh Yasuo, that thing came back. Can you go look at it again?
And the thing is also like part 4, the primary like inspiration for part 8, like you still had that goofiness up until like about the final few arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, the resolution, everyone is back to being happy-go-lucky. Nobody is permanently I mean, they're probably got some trauma, but they're not like sulking about it. Like Josuke does, he breaks his hip and he does the iconic pose, and he's like, "Let's go! You know, I'm gonna steal my dad's wallet." Woohoo!
3 named characters are dead. No, wait, hang on. 4 named characters are dead, and child is traumatized.
And the house is in ruins, and your mom is never going to be saved.
We're not going to eat until your dad comes home for dinner.
I don't want to even talk about JoJolion right now. I'm like making myself angry. I'm not angry, but I'm like making myself upset.
I just start reliving it. Yeah, exactly. I know that it's still like fresh in me every time I think about JoJolion.
Can you believe that
my first
like
response is like, ugh.
If we were going to end the part with Josuke sitting around the table with his new brothers and sisters, can you believe that like we never got the sequel to the Shakedown Road fight where Joshu and Josuke work together this time? Like that seemed like such a setup for because they're working together.
To have,
right.
Yeah.
They're working together, but also against each other.
There's a lot of fights that I wish had sequels in JoJolion.
Like they're working against each other, and they're not really fighting on the same team. Like Joshu is still like just trying to get his and get out. So that was a perfect setup for like a contrast to a later fight where they are working together.
Shakedown Road felt like it was going to be the ghost alley of part 8.
Right, like we'd come back. God, because Shakedown Road wasn't defeated. It's still there.
It's still there. Les Fouillet, the leaves are still, the stand is still on the leaves.
That's how you say that?
I can't, it's, the stand itself, I'm probably massively mispronouncing it because it's French.
I always just say Le Fouillet.
I think it's Le Fouillet.
Le Fouillet.
Le Fouillet.
Le Fouillet.
For as much, like, little moments and the entire Milagro arc and the entire, like, little bits of characterization we get of Joshu, the fact that he is relegated to essentially a background character is frustrating because that Joshu and Jobin had so much potential as, like, the two brothers that would come into conflict or maybe have a battle of differing opinions. You know, they divide the family in half.
Jobin and Kato would have made a much better main villain. Either one of them or both.
So compelling. Or both. Especially both. Yeah. Because again, people... I truly, if you like JoJolion, that's fine. That's great. I wish I did. If you like Toru, that's great. I wish I did. But to say that he is not only a good villain, but the best JoJo villain, unironically, I just can't bring myself to see it because he just shows up, says I am evil, and then refuses to elaborate, and then dies.
I think the thing that made me almost start to like him as a villain was the Toru the Groomer chapter, you know, where we see him talk to young Yasuo.
Yeah, where he's like always been there, and he's been like a scumbag the whole time.
That's soured by the fact that is the only development he gets.
Right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Because he also has he has this really interesting line in that flashback where he says, "I'll see you again by the time you don't remember me next," or something to that effect when he's talking to young Yasuo, implying that he has just appeared in her life periodically.
Right. And then
spacing it out just long enough so that she won't remember him.
She has a moment where she's like, I remember you, not from high school, but from before that. I have a feeling that you showed up to me a lot of times, and every time you would take something from me. And, like, I'm not going to fucking stand for it anymore. And that was sick. That was, like, and it was almost a callback, not a callback,
Like he's
but
her own personal boogeyman.
right. And it's like at that point I knew Toru was 100% the main villain. There was no debating it at that point because he had been tied into Mamazuku's backstory. He had been tied into Yasuho's backstory now. He had been the reason that Holly is even doing this in the first place. He's the head doctor. He did all this. So he's tied into everyone's backstories. But it doesn't feel right.
Imagine a world where that arc, the head doctor arc, ends with Yasuho defeating Toru, getting her payback, and then we go back to Kato and Jobin as the main antagonist.
I would have been so fine with that. I would have been happy with that.
Right, because the reveal, I still think everything up to chapter 95 is perfect. Like, the moment when Jobin is revealed by Norisuke's stand to have murdered for this family and to be like the guy who did those murders in the newspaper. I love the
confrontation between Norisuke
and
amazing. Jobin. He's like,
and then Jobin,
you know you can tell your father anything, right, Jobin?
Jobin, with tears in his eyes, kills his own father, and while he's laying dead on the ground, his siblings aren't sure how to react, and they go to make a move to go towards him, but Jobin swivels around and he takes out his stand and he says something like, "Be prepared." Like, he's like, if you're going to go against me, like, this is how it's going to be. You're either fucking with me or you're against me. And that was the moment that should have split the family in two. Jobin and Kato have been working against the rest of your interests this whole time, and they're bad people. They're murderers. So, like, are you going to side with that, or are you going to side with this new guy, Josuke, who isn't your blood brother, but doesn't seem to be down with murdering people and isn't harboring horrible evil within him?
Josuke is super down with murdering people.
Well, okay, sure. But I'm saying there's a split in the family. JoJo Civil War, exactly. So here's how I envision it.
Josuke smashing Vitamin C's Tamaki Damo's head in with a shovel.
Here's how I envision it.
That wasn't the shovel.
Tsurugi
he just punches his head clean off.
Tsurugi and Mitsuba obviously have to side with Jobin and Kato.
With Jobin.
Right? Yeah. So that team is now Kato, Tsurugi, Jobin, and Mitsuba.
And then it would be all of his siblings.
Right.
It would be Joshu leading the charge, having his big character moment where he comes into his own. He's like, "Listen, bro, you can't do this. That's our dad. This is our family, our legacy."
Joshu, Hato, and Daya versus these four. And they have to be losing. They have to start getting their asses kicked. Then, finally, this is while Yasuho is, like, in the toilet still, I'm pretty sure. Or no, Norisuke just came in and took her out of the toilet. So she's, like, decaying outside. She has no arms. She's laying on the courtyard ground dying. So Josuke shows up, sees Yasuho, is like, what the fuck? Picks her up to bring her inside. I don't know how the head doctor doesn't kill him during this, but the point is Josuke gets there with, like, wounded, dying Yasuho in his arms and sees the family squaring up to face off against each other, and he and Jobin lock eyes, and without saying a word, he just puts Yasuho down on the couch and walks up and stands next to Joshu, and it's like, now it's 4-on-4, motherfucker, let's do this.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it so bad.
That's even what I wanted.
And then you drop
when I resigned myself.
Arrow.
What'd you say, man?
And then you drop the to be continued arrow.
The to be continued arrow. Yeah, exactly. Even when I resigned myself to Toru being the main villain, I was still holding out hope on that recurring fan theory that through some, like, equivalent exchange shenanigans and Toru's monologue about, like, the power lines being one unit that can send energy between multiple bodies or sources or whatever, and the tree that has one root but two branching paths on the Higashikata estate. All this, like, these subtle, like, little foreshadowing details that Toru and the head doctor would have been one soul inhabiting two bodies. That would have been much more interesting to me than if the doctor was just his stand the whole time.
It would have been like an inversion of
Diablo and Doppio. Exactly. That's 100% what I wanted. It is 100% what I wanted, and I didn't get that after I had already been like, okay, fine, Toru is the villain, I guess.
I just can't fucking believe Jobin is killed by Toru, someone that doesn't really have any narrative, like, reason to kill him. Like, he doesn't have beef.
Yeah, and he dies and is confirmed dead off-screen by a different character.
And, motherfucker, Norisuke has been dead for longer than him! What?
Weren't they both canonically on the same team at one point?
Oh,
and Toru?
yeah, no, he doesn't have beef with him. In fact, they used to work together. Toru is above Tamaki Damo, or at least he's part of the other, higher, more important branch of the organization that aren't the drug dealers, they're the scientists.
They did not earn that kill.
No, not at all. He literally stole the kill. And the whole thing is, Josuke and Jobin have so much beef. They have so much reason to oppose each other. They've literally been working in secret to subvert the other one the whole story. They're both working behind the other's back to do shit that they think is right for the family and working against each other. So this moment when those intentions come out into the open, finally we get the sequel to the Beetle battle. They fight again, but this time they know who the other one is. There are no secrets anymore. It's all come to light. And it's a battle between the two potential inheritors of the title Norisuke V. The eldest son of the family takes on the name Norisuke. Norisuke IV is laying upstairs in a heap, dead, bleeding out on the ground, and Jobin is probably like, what up, y'all? It's me, Norisuke V. I am the new head of the family. And Josuke is showing up to say, no fucking way, man. I am Norisuke V. And that's the tension of it.
The craziest thing is, both Josuke and Jobin are shown to be massively capable, super resourceful, super adaptable to any situation. So the fact that Jobin just kind of resigns himself to laying there bleeding from a easily repairable wound on his chest is baffling to me.
Insane.
Even if there was another calamity that was set to attack him afterwards, I refuse to believe he would have just allowed himself to lay there in the hall and be like, oh, well, that's me done, then.
The guy who made himself oxygen manually on the fly. That guy. You're telling me him. He just laid there?
He looked at the
he didn't have the resolve.
And was like, oh, jeez, I guess I guess this is it. I guess the wolves are knocking on old Jobin's door now.
So fucking stupid. We're talking about JoJolion again.
It is laughably bad. I mean, laughably, embarrassing character kill.
It was not the right move. It absolutely was not. I would say that there are moments where you could turn JoJolion around, and one of the moments is like, you got to stop it at chapter 95 and then write new shit from that point onward, because that's great. Jobin killing Norisuke and turning on his siblings, great material, great stuff, love that. And you still have sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, speaking of characters who are super adaptable and willing to do anything by any means necessary, Rai, who has sacrificed most of his fingers and parts of his body at this point by shaving them off with doggy style, and who literally avoided death in a very similar way against Ozone Baby by just turning his body into complete strings. Why couldn't he have done that versus the Wonder of You? Why, if he saw the attack coming, if he knew what to expect, if he knew about the spin, and he knew that he had been closer to the Wonder of You than anyone ever before, why not prepare for that possibility?
And the fact that, to add insult to injury, he just gets killed by one of Josuke's invisible floating bubbles that we weren't told were even in the room up until that point. That's some caviar cat shit, man. That's the same thing with the cat and the caviar. You didn't even tell us those were here. That's bad. This is not how Alfred Hitchcock would do it. You didn't show me there was a bomb under the table, so I didn't have any feeling of tension. I didn't know what to expect. Nothing was foreshadowed.
There's an unspoken rule of narrative catharsis where every villain in your story has to get their comeuppance from basically somebody that they have wronged.
Right. It has to be somebody who's got genuine narrative beef, where it would feel good for the audience to see them specifically get this win.
It's okay to subvert that occasionally, but if
you
do that for every death...
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's that catharsis. Is Toru only wronged Kato as far as he did by killing Jobin. And that happened 2 seconds after Kato, or 2 seconds before Kato entered the garage and killed Toru. Because she wasn't focused on avenging him. She was focused on avenging Toru. God damn it! Focused on avenging Jobin and not killing Toru. So it was, she avoided the calamity via that contrivance.
But then she literally didn't.
He has to learn how to cross dimensional barriers with his spinning string bubbles in order to even land a hit on the Wonder of You.
It just seems slapdash. It seems like poorly thought out. It seems just thrown together, you know? It seems ramshackle.
It does.
And there's a lot that I would
It's just haphazard. It is slapped together.
I hate to cut this short, but like we are coming up on 1:45.
Yeah,
and
that's true. I do gotta go to work.
We're also talking about JoJolion and not the JoJo.
Well, we need to wrap it up with our thoughts on the current chapter of JoJoLands.
Wrapping it up, predictions for the future. What do we want to see in the next chapter? What are we excited about? How do we feel?
I'm excited for the potential of like we were saying earlier, an actual villainous stand fight. If not the reveal of the user, just maybe the stand itself. I would love to get a new stand name.
Yeah, this will be the first time we actually see a villain stand.
This is the first time we get any new stands named since Chapter 2 when we learned the Mate Kudasai.
Yeah, literally. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe a quick flashback to give us the name of the cat stand. I don't know if that's ever going to be addressed.
I think we'll probably only figure it out if the cats are, like if that was a stand and not like a rock animal ability. I think we'll only figure out either way when the volume is out.
Right, it'll be like a post chapter, like the stand stat thing.
Yeah. Me, personally, I'm excited to see how this 2-and-2 situation plays out. Like, you know,
I wonder the pacing of that, if it's going to be...
I like when a character who has the ability that could solve a situation isn't there. He's busy trapped somewhere else doing something else. So, you know.
We've seen Dragona and Usagi work together on a small scale, right?
Guys.
But
he's like, Usagi is always, interestingly enough, Usagi is always the one who asks Dragona to wish for the Mate Kudasai.
Guys, stop talking right now. Dragona is going to ask the Mate Kudasai for the watch
to make a gun
and give them a fake watch.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say ask him to make it a gun.
That's a good one. Yes, that's
really good. That's actually a really good one.
I just started thinking about this because we started talking about the Mate Kudasai, and like he can't make himself but Dragona. That's my prediction. I'm writing it down.
Put that on a bingo card. Yeah.
I'm putting it on a bingo card.
That's a super good one.
I'm gonna write it in the Discord.
That's so good, actually.
Prediction.
Yeah, I love that.
Dragona will ask the Mate Kudasai for another watch.
That's another interesting question. I'm still curious, does the Mate Kudasai
perfectly or imperfectly mimic stuff?
That, and can it only do one thing at a time?
Right.
Like when he turns it into a net, does that mean that the security camera in Rohan's villa disappears? Or can he just summon multiple little Mate Kudasais to turn into multiple objects?
Well, that's a
great question.
Or do you think that would be like maybe an extension of the ability he gets later?
I almost wish we had like stand stats pages again, because if it said like range 20 meters, I would be like, okay, cool. So he leaves and then it despawns.
And then it just dissolves or whatever. Yeah.
Because like with the security camera, it's like that sends the data like somewhere else, right? So like there's no need for it to stick around.
I guess so, yeah. Although I still do not understand how having a duplicate security camera with different, similar, but not correct footage is any better than just breaking the security camera. Like,
breaking the security
camera, it still looks pretty much like you. You guys are dressed pretty unique. Like, I don't know how you think just a little difference in facial structure. Reasonable.
It's about reasonable doubt. You can't
plausible
prove which of these is us.
Hey, if one of our characters goes to jail, I really want like a courtroom scene. I really want like a little bit of legal drama. You know, we had that horrible lawyer character in part 6 who was like in Romeo's pocket.
Jodio's lawyer comes in. So, public masturbation, huh?
Jodio's lawyer walks into the room.
Well, why not? He's been binging Breaking Bad lately.
Dude,
we can tell.
Because we keep accusing Araki of doing this whole Breaking Bad homage thing over and over again. But if he gives us like a hilarious, slimy, fast-talking lawyer character, I know it's real.
If he gives us Paul Bad Guy, I know that we're so in there.
Did you guys know that Soul Bad Guy and Saul Goodman are cousins?
Yeah, it's true.
It's true, they hang
Did
out.
you know that Soul Bad Guy is actually a Freddie Mercury reference?
Yes, I did know this because he's the bad
Because-
guy. Soul Bad Guy in Guilty Gear
Yeah.
lore used to be named Frederick. That was his name
Yep.
before he was a gear.
Yup. It's just another case of Daisuke Ishiwatara loving
Western
musical
music.
references. So you get characters like Slayer and Axel,
He and Araki should
and
really
I
hang
like
out.
it when that happens.
There's a character named
I feel
Axel
like
in
they
both
will-
series.
Yeah, I feel like God, the
Well,
crossover between Guilty
I mean,
Gear and
like,
JoJo
fucking-
would go
Holy
crazy.
shit.
Well, isn't like Zato or Eddie like a stand user? I forget which one is the
Essentially,
is the
yeah.
guy, which one's the-
Zato is the man. Eddie is the shadow monster that possesses him / sometimes gets controlled by him.
All right, well, anybody got any more JoJo-related predictions or thoughts or feelings or comments?
We will talk more about how much the JoJoland upsets, or about how much JoJolion upsets us.
The
Well,
JoJolands is
check-
making me very happy
check
right
back
now.
in 5 to
The
10
JoJolands
years
is
from that
making me
first
super
one.
happy.
Come back
Yeah.
in 10 years.
Come back in 10 years.
You're 10 years too early to fight me.
I can't wait. We're 10 years too early to read the JoJolands. It's true.
Well, this is what I was saying earlier, which was like, I had the opportunity to read JoJolion month by month since like chapter 30, but I put it off for years, and then I started reading it when it was like at chapter 91. So this is me starting from the beginning. I'm so happy to be here from chapter 1, and I'm going to be reading this shit every month for the next 10 years of my life.
Okay, I'm gonna make a long con prediction.
Okay, hit me.
I'm gonna make a long con. I'm
Do it.
sending this 10 years into the future. We're going to get
Definitely
like
write this one down.
we're gonna write this one down. I'm writing this into the future. Johnny Joestar is going to be the new corpse body
Whoa.
by the end of the JoJolands.
Do you think corpse parts are really going to come into play in this part?
They came into
If-
play for a second in JoJolion, and if we...
The idea of equivalent exchange, yeah, and Johnny being buried somewhere in Japan. He is like a holy figure within Japan. There
We
are
did
statues
discuss
of him.
this.
They'd have to leave the country for that prediction to pay off.
Well,
then.
it is the JoJolands.
It is the JoJolands, plural,
Could be,
multiple.
yeah.
You
All
never
right.
know.
Fair enough.
And also, Rohan did come from Japan,
Yeah.
so whatever he's researching has traces in Japan.
Yeah.
I really want...
So
I really, really want The Legend of Johnny Joestar about Josuke. That's what I need and want. But I don't know
That'd
when
be
we'll
great.
get it. We'll probably get
I
it
don't know how
a couple
we
years
get
from
it,
now.
Yeah.
I want.
But we'll get
I
it
want
one
the
day.
continuation of Josuke's story.
Me
just in any
too,
fashion.
dude. Please.
The
Give me
fact that
something.
we need it. Yeah, we actually just need it. Not
The
to
fact
make
that we
part
need
8
it so
any better,
bad.
just to, not to make even part 8 better, just to resolve Josuke's character, because he didn't get anything. He got nothing. He got no closure.
Well,
He
I-
basically
fighting
failed in
for.
his mission.
I would
He
argue
failed.
that
He
Araki was...
objectively failed.
I would argue that Araki was going for that type of ending where the character doesn't get what they thought they wanted, but what they wanted, what they got was good, and it's enough
But
for
the
them.
problem is,
And, like, he didn't
You
get
already
his
had
mom back.
Josuke resolve. Yeah, you had Josuke make it a point to say, "I am the son of
My
Holy
quest is
Kira
to save Holly.
Joestar. I will save you." He parallels
He reinforced
Kira's
it.
villain reveal speech. He parallels Kira saying, "My name is Kira Yoshikage." Blah 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 blah. He does that, but with himself in a heroic capacity,
It was awesome.
and it's a big moment.
That
and
was
it's
chapter
awesome.
91.
Yeah,
It's right at the end of it.
before
He's in the
everything,
underwear. I'll save you. I swear it, with the rocks on his face. Also, most
Yeah.
cowardly, fucking stupid
Cowardly. He
decision
loses them.
ever to take those rocks off. That's the whole story. Equivalent exchange. You can't gain anything without paying an equivalent price for it. Oh,
That just means
they just
you
fell
could,
off.
like-
They just fell off.
Yeah.
What?
He got dipped in like the
It was literally just water.
hydrogen peroxide. Was it just water?
I have no idea.
I thought he was at
And
least
the-
dipped
and
in
the worst
chemicals.
The worst crime is those rocks made him look cooler.
They did.
They made him look cooler.
Dude.
It's the cool
God.
version of an eye
We had
patch.
punished Josuke for like
Oh,
one chapter.
I know. I said that to
Punished
Chris at the
Josuke was
time.
the
I was like,
best
in a
design.
normal show, a normal series, a character would lose an eye and get an eye patch. This is the JoJo version of that.
You
He's
had
got
a rock
rocks.
growing out of your pupil.
Dude. It was so
and it
cool.
goes all the way down your face and halfway down your chest.
It was so cool. Like it
was
just
so raw.
Okay, all right.
Like,
Join
Mitsuba
us.
got to keep her dumb rock nose, but yeah.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Okay. Stop. Join us next time.
I know.
For
We have
the
to stop.
5-hour JoJolion complain cast. But
Hang on,
until
yeah.
then,
3 to 5 hours, because that might be a little bit much.
yeah. No, I'm just overestimating it. But we are gonna have to. There's a
We
lot
are
of
We
stuff
could
to bitch
divide
about.
it into. We could divide it into multiple parts.
We should all reread
Fuck
JoJolion
that, fuck
in
that.
preparation.
Snyder cuts.
No.
Snyder
Well,
cut. Snyder cut or bust.
We should
What
reread
do you mean you don't
JoJolion
have
in
5 hours
preparation.
to
Locacacast cussed.
But we should do it like arc by arc. You know, like we all
Yes.
read the first 2 or 3 arcs, and then we talk about them, and then we read the next 2 or
like
3.
a book club.
Yeah, like book club. Exactly. We could do the JoJolion review cast, or the complain cast. Really, is what it will be.
Complaint cast.
Join
the
us.
equivalent exchange cast. We read JoJolion and we receive pain.
We are equivalently exchanging our ideas
And
amongst
at
each
the
other.
end, we all read Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak as like a little palate cleanser.
All right. Well,
yes.
hey, seeing as how it's the end of the episode, Merc, do you think we should invite Casey on again next month? I think we should.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we've just added a little Mamazuku Rai to our Josuke and Yasuo thing. I think this would be fun as a triplet.
Yeah, I get to draw myself in the little green bean costume.
You should do it, or you should be another Josuke. I don't know how we're gonna handle
the third Josuke, the third
don't know.
fusion.
Because this is a reference to Volume 4. The 2 Josuke's are standing there on the cover of JoJolion Volume 4. And we had our buddy draw this for us, and it's just been the 2 of us this whole time. But, you know, you really just slotted right into our little JoJo talking dynamic, so I want to have you back on next month. As long as that's cool with my co-host Chris, then we are a triplet.
All right.
Absolutely. Cool. Count me in. Glad
Alright.
to be part of the Locacacast crew.
Hell yeah. Alright, well, I suppose that's it for Chapter 8 of the JoJoLands. Join us next time for the JoJolion Complaint Cast, and
So,
in 2 months for the
next
next
time-
chapter.
In 2 months, we'll be talking about Chapter 9, and that'll be actually Episode 9 because of how, yeah, we did 6 and 7 as one episode, so it's all gonna be fucky for a bit here.
That's all right. That's all right. This podcast is ramshackle and made with love. The
It's
numbers can be
sponsored
wrong.
by
It's fine.
Yujiro Hanma.
It is. God, it's sponsored by
The
Yujiro
most
Hanma.
dangerous JoJo podcast.
dangerous JoJo podcast.
Man, I need to pee. It's the most dangerous bathroom function you can perform. If you pee too hard.
All right.
That's
See
it.
you all
I'm outta here.
next time.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye bye.